Hello.
And welcome to the Pokemon Club Esports Draft League. We're here to get started with the draft. Could you explain how the draft starts, Broco?
So yes, basically we are going to take each player. They are going to draft one Pokemon. They're going to go down the list and draft Pokemon person per person, so everyone gets at least something good, and we'll go from there.
What picks are you most looking forward to?
I'm looking forward, weirdly enough, Garchomp. I'm looking forward to Garchomp. I think the most. It got Scale Shot and with Swords Dance. I think it could actually do some work because it is a very matchup dependent Pokemon. In singles, that doesn't work a lot because all the teams are very standard of Grey Tusk, Golden Go, which Garchomp does beat, but without Air Balloon. They're all very similar teams. But with Garchomp being matchup dependent and everyone having different Pokemon, I think it could work really well.
I see. So because other people will be able to see the teams of the other members of the draft league, they'll be able to choose when to bring Garchomp to the greatest
Exactly.
effect.
What about you? What's your
I'm looking forward to seeing Manaphy,
Oh, yes.
Haven't seen Manaphy be a big player in a lot of the competitive scene for most of the time, because it usually just hasn't been in a lot of the games.
Yeah.
But with Take Heart and Tail Glow, it's going to be a big threat.
That Tail Glow and that Tail Glow obviously is the beating factor, but Take Heart is a very interesting move where it's Calm Mind, but you get a status cure, which is interesting.
Yeah. Its ability to boost both its defenses and offensive special attacking power while getting rid of status is very powerful as not only a defensive water type, if you wanted to use it like that, but with Tail Glow to boost its special attack by 3, it's incredibly powerful for as a quick switch in and then boost to take over the game, really.
Yeah, not to mention that hydration ability that if then obviously with Take Heart it's not as necessary, but hydration on Rain can be very scary.
Yeah, seeing a Rain team with probably a Urshifu Rapid Strike and a Manaphy could be a very powerful team in this draft.
That's a physical offensive core and a special attacking offensive core. That's dangerous.
Yeah, especially with some of the other mon you could bring to that. Yeah.
Back that up with Wo-Chien or something, and you got a powerful core.
Oh yeah, Wo-Chien in the Rain would be insane. Able to get rid of probably a lot of its issues, especially if you're bringing Pelipper to deal with fighting types. That Wo-Chien's going to be sticking around for a while.
Plus the fire weakness removal is good too.
Although to be fair, a lot of bug types will also flourish in the Rain, so you could see a good scissor pick.
Not bug type. U-turn.
Oh yeah, U-turn exactly is what we're looking for. That 4 times bug weakness that Wo-Chien has as Grass Dark will be probably its demise, even if it is in a Rain team.
Yeah, I love when people are listing bad weaknesses like Celebi. It's weak to fire. It's weak to ice. It's weak to U-turn. They don't list bug. They list U-turn, which I find hysterical.
As a bug enjoyer, this hurts me greatly.
I'm a bug enjoyer too. I'm Volcarona hurts my soul when he got banned to OU or banned from OU and to Ubers, where it's kind of bad.
Yeah, but that's also gonna be interesting. We're gonna be able to in this draft league, you can pay 1.5 times the cost to have any mon be a Terramon. So, what are you thinking will be some big Terra threats?
Lower tiers definitely, because the thing with low tier Terra is, I think it's honestly better than letting higher tier mons Terra.
Okay.
Because it allows for. Because you have King Gambit, and if you let that thing Terra, then okay, yeah, goes Terra Fairy, goes Terra Flying, and does whatever, and it wins the game for you. But if you have a lower tier Terra, like I don't know, Knackle Stack,
Oh yeah,
then it's you have more excitement on it. Or I guess I know it's not in the game, but Terra Aggron I think would be a very interesting pick if this was in the game, like Terra Rock Aggron.
Yeah, very defensive Pokemon, and to be able to get out of that quad weakness to fighting and ground would be big for it. So. See what you mean. I'm interested in some of the more lower point Terra offensive threats, especially like some of those mons with tinted lens where
low kicks.
Oh yeah, like low kicks like Venomoth.
Those Pokemon are those Pokemon are great. I just wish they had more oomph to their offensive stats. If they did, then tinted lens. I feel like tinted lens as an ability is very interesting. Where you boosting the power of what they call it. Not very effective moves.
Yeah.
The only way to block it is having a quad resistance, which is dangerous.
Especially difficult if you can Terra as well. So you, especially with Pokemon where there aren't a lot of quad resistances like Terra Fairy.
At least most of them are bug type, so it is not hard to quad resist a bug type move. But it's also the fact that Low Kicks has a manageable attack stat, stab first impression. If it has a Soul Powder, then this Terra Bug. That thing can I think 2-shot Iron Valiant, which is not a frail Pokemon.
All right. I will be switching out with one of our other casters, Hypocrite, to introduce him to everyone else. So, see you all in a bit.
Yo.
Hello, everyone. I'm Hypocrite.
So what is your I guess desirable Pokemon for the pick for the draft?
I really like Walking Wake.
Reach.
It's I think it's in the highest point category, but honestly, it's worth it. You've got crazy powerful coverage, crazy versatility, the ability to boost itself up with photosynthesis. It's just a crazy mon that, like, even if you know it's coming, with the sheer variety of sets you can run, it's very hard to counter.
It can run Sun. It can run Rain. It got knockoff. It got flip turn. Like
Yeah.
what?
Like, even if your opponent, like, prepares for your all defensive, you can just run a support set with flip
Yeah.
turn, and, like, then what's the prep going to be good for?
Yeah. Knockoff is going to be very powerful because in draft, hazards are very dangerous because you need to, like, account for stealth rock, you account for spikes. You need to account for toxic spikes.
Yeah.
Toxic spikes can roll over a team if you don't have a way of clearing them, or you don't have like a grounded poison type, or defog or rapid spin. They're so deadly because that 12% chip adds up so fast over time, to the point where you need that cushion against those hazards, and usually those cushions are heavy duty boots.
Mm-hmm.
But if something like Walking Wake is knocking all of those boots off, then flip turning out to something, to something that can take advantage of those Pokemon that don't have their boots anymore, then you're in for a really hard battle.
Yeah, hazard removal is definitely a big thing. It can be very hard, especially because if you draft a mon specifically for hazard removal, it can be hard because then you sort of have the opportunity cost of, are you going to bring it, and is your opponent even going to bring hazards if they know you have a good removal? And you sort of get into this layered mind game of, well, it could happen, it could not, and then if you're on the wrong end of it, then you've wasted a lot of your prep, and that is not great.
Yeah. Walking Wake also brings a very interesting speed tier. Like, what is it? Base 10. It's like 101, I believe. Not 101. It's like 111.
I believe it's 109,
Yeah.
if I recall.
It brings an
It's
interesting
somewhere
speed tier.
around there.
And speed tiers are interesting because they force your Pokemon to run higher speed EVs and like natures just to outspeed your highest speed Pokemon, which is opportunity cost because then they're not investing in offenses unless they're like a Pokemon that's like slow and bulky, or like something like Ursaluna or something.
Yeah, and the speed creep game is very important too because a lot of Pokemon will end up being a bit more bulky in draft because since you know what you're going up against, you are often not as pressured to run max speed.
Yeah.
You just have to run enough speed to outspeed whatever your opponent has that's below you, which gives you some more room to invest in offenses or defenses.
Yeah, and that lets you pick and choose what can counter what. Because if you have Iron Valiant, your opponent has a counter to Iron Valiant. Chances are you're gonna have something that can counter the counter, so you bring the counter against the counter.
Yeah.
Yeah, counter. I could say counter like 40 times.
Well, speaking of all these counters, another very interesting point is mons that have very clear defined weaknesses and counters. Like a Pokemon like Heatran struggles in OU because there are mons like Great Tusk and Landorus in previous generations everywhere that just really hard counter it. But in draft, there's only one copy of those, and you know it's coming. So mons like that can really get a chance to shine in draft.
And here's the thing: they do counter. They can counter Heatran, but they don't really want to switch in on Heatran. Heatran has a massive special attack stat. And if they get hit by Magma Storm, it's gonna chunk them heavily, especially with Great Tusk's low special defense. Landorus Therian, its Intimidate doesn't work on Magma Storm since it's a special move, among other ground types. Bulky grounds, they are bulky, but they don't really want to come in on a Magma Storm that hits hard and is taking away another 12% of their HP every turn.
Yeah, you can only switch in so many times if you don't have good recovery.
Especially if that Heat Train has Protect. Like, Magma Storm Protect Heat Train is scary.
It did lose Toxics this generation, so it'll be a bit more difficult to stall them down, but it's definitely
Yeah.
possible.
Okay, am I the only one who kind of misses, like, every mon getting Toxic?
It creates a very different metagame.
Yeah.
A lot of the Pokemon that were often countered by just everything having Toxic now get to run a lot more free,
Yeah.
which in turn inspires different counterplay.
We're going? Nice.
All right, in that case, we're about to get started, so I'm going to pass it back to Old Yorkshire, and I'll be back on a little later. See you guys.
All right, I'm back.
It's
Excited
York.
for the draft. Yeah. We're seeing, first draft, Alolan Ninetales. That's
That is scary.
that's a big choice, especially because it's going to have that hail abilities, and it'll have definitely that Aurora Veil to keep more Pokemon that are going to set up defensively protected while they do so.
Aurora Veil is such a dangerous move because it will stay up even after the hail ends. So not the hail, the snow ends. So
Mhm.
you can run Light Clay and it'll be there for a whole 8 turns, which is so much considering things like other ice types that get a defense move like Frostmoth or Excalibur, or Pokemon that just need to take one more hit like Annihilate.
Mm-hmm.
It's A9's scary.
Yes, Alolan Ninetales is definitely very powerful. And that next pick, like you said, Annihilate. Luckily, it won't be on the same team as the Alolan Ninetales. It's drafted by Team SC. Anyway, Annihilate, that's a very powerful Pokemon with its Rage Fist, stacking its power every time it gets hit.
U-turn.
A U-turn, definitely a very powerful Pokemon, able to come in and out. And it's also got a lot of recovery with Rest and Chesto. You can run a lot of stuff with Annihilate, but it's a very powerful mon.
Gotta love Resto Chesto.
Mm-hmm.
It's Tornadus Therian, one of the best support mons probably ever. It did lose Toxic and Knockoff, but does it still have Defog? I don't think it does.
I believe it does.
It still has Defog, probably. It has U-turn, Regenerator. Regenerator as an ability is super good for pivoting.
Oh yeah, it can come in and out and gets that reliable recovery, 33% back each time.
Exactly. And that Bleak Wind Storm, kind of a weird move, but is a little better than Hurricane considering the speed drop afterwards.
Mm-hmm. It's also very powerful because it gets a lot of good ability to bring in weather as well.
Yes, pure flying as a typing is very good
Mm-hmm.
defensively. You have that weakness. You have that weakness to Stealth Rock, obviously. But you can come in safely on fighting. You can come in safely on ground. Both those types are very, very Tusk.
Very prevalent types.
And its stats are pretty good. Anyway,
The next pick, Iron Valiant from Rose. That's a very powerful mon there. Got that Fairy Fighting Stab. Hits most Pokemon in the game. Incredible base stats. Very fast. Very strong in both attack and special. Difficult to prepare for.
Iron Valiant, it doesn't have definitive counters. Just check it as you go.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and it's a Terra Iron Valiant. Extremely powerful.
Oh, no.
Mhm.
You never know what that's going to come out. It could be Terra Electric with Thunderbolt, Terra Water with Liquidation. Terra Iron Valiant gets a lot of moves. Its
gonna be
move pool is massive.
very difficult to check that thing, especially if you don't know what type it's going to be to hit it with.
Elephant.
Alphin? Alphin's very powerful. Comes in, flip turns out, and then it becomes the hero form.
Yeah, ignore the base 70 attack right there.
Oh yeah, no, that will change once it's in hero form.
160.
Yeah,
That's
160
absurd.
attack. It's incredibly
It's the same as
powerful.
slacking.
Wow, really? And it does
Yeah.
have much better ability than slacking as
Yeah.
well.
Because it's like drawback abilities, but the drawback is not a drawback. You're switching out anyway. You have base 100 speed. You're super fast.
It's got that signature move Jet Punch, base 60.
Slap on a choice band. You're doing a lot of damage.
Tornadus Therian does not have defog, so you're probably going to want to run it coming in with heavy duty boost
Yes,
and have a
you
different
do.
spinner or defogger then.
Yeah.
Urshifu Single Strike, another extremely powerful Pokemon. I think actually the previous Pokemon could Terra, so that was a Terra Palafin.
Terra Palafin, that's scary.
Extremely scary. I think it gets most of the punch moves. That'll help it get rid of any counters as well.
Drain Punch, Jet Punch, Ice Punch.
But Urshifu Single Strike, that signature ability makes it extremely powerful. Can't protect, automatically crits. ignores any defensive buffs you give your Pokemon.
Wicked Blow is a dangerous move. You need a fighting type to counter it, or a
Oh, yeah.
fairy type, which
Mhm.
this thing is walled by. This thing doesn't have a whole. It is Iron Head, but aside from that, it's not that strong. Aside from the high attack.
We see a Blood Moon Ursaluna. Ooh, that's a Terra Blood Moon Ursaluna.
Oh no!
Extremely powerful. We see a lot of Terras coming out in these big point Mon.
Yeah.
Extremely offensive, threatening Mon. Blood Moon Ursaluna, it'd be interesting if we see a Trick Moon core here.
Even if it's not
Or
Trick
Trick Room.
Even if it's not Trick Room, I like Trick Room a lot. Even if it's not Trick Room, Blood Moon or Saluna can sit on an opponent's due to its high defense stat. Can invest in that defense stat, and then just calm mind, and win the game off that because it has Recovery and Moonlight. It has that Blood Moon attack that's absurdly strong, and that ground type and that ground Earth power to just be good general coverage.
Additionally, with its ability, which is essentially Scrappy Plus, it hits ghost types with its normal stab, and it can't be have its accuracy lowered, so it's incredibly powerful that way as well.
Nothing comes in safely against the Blood Moon Beast.
We see a Tinglu, another very defensive Pokemon, very strong ground type.
One thing to note is that the hazard game the hazard game in draft is very important, and Tinglu is a wonderful hazard setter. It has access to Stealth Rock, access to Spikes, and that Whirlwind attack to shuffle out Pokemon.
If you don't have anything that can Rapid Spin or Defog very well, Tinglu can just shuffle through your entire team using Whirlwind on some Spikes and just chip everything down if you don't have anything that'll be strong enough to kill it.
Tinglu's no slouch out there. That base 110 attack is great for just throwing off Earthquakes.
Indeed. Another powerful ground type.
Okay, this thing is not on the A9 team.
Baxcalibur, extremely powerful. Not a Terra Baxcalibur, but with that Dragon Dance and Scale Shot combo, or even a Swords Dance Scale Shot combo, like you were talking about with Garchomp earlier, this thing can be an extremely powerful threat. With that 145 base attack, it is coming in strong, large, and in charge.
This thing is very dangerous because loaded dice sets, this thing no longer needs to run Icicle Crash. It can run loaded dice with Scale Shot and Icicle Spear, both of which are much more accurate moves. Or Scale Shot isn't. Icicle Spear is a much more accurate move, which as an ice type attack, hitting 4 to 5 times, and its backs, that's gonna hurt.
Exactly. Additionally, with that Dragon and Ice stab, it's very strong Pokemon, especially into all of the ground types we've seen taken so far.
Oh, I just realized it doesn't have to really deal with Glaive Rush drawback either if it runs Scale Shot.
Oh yeah, it's not running. If it's not running Glaive Rush, it won't be taking double damage after it uses its strong Dragon type stab move. So with Scale Shot, it'll be much safer to run a Dragon move on this Pokemon.
Yeah, Slurp Usurping is usurping indeed.
See a draft of Gliscor from Joyce Cuts, another strong ground type. Everybody's trying to get the ground types out now. Another strong hazard setter as well with Stealth Rock. It's also a good defogger. It's got good recovery and roost. It gets all hazards now.
It gets Spikes, it gets Stealth Rock, it gets T-Spikes as well. Which is why you need a grounded poison type, because this thing is scary.
Yeah, I was wrong about it getting defog though. So if you can get Spikes up against it, it could be powerful, but it's not going to take too much as a raw ground flying type, so it's very powerful. Additionally, cannot be toxic. We'll use Poison Heal to heal from it. So
yeah,
be interesting to see if anybody runs Toxic Orb Fling. I'm a big fan of the move Fling.
I love that. I love that. I love Toxic Orb Fling. It's so funny. Because you toxic their most important Pokemon, and they go, no.
Very powerful one.
One of those gimmicks that you bring on the ladder, and so you get flamed on for it.
Oh, definitely. Oh, of course. But Gliscor, a very powerful wall. Here we go. Another extremely strong Dragon-type Pokemon in Walking Wake with that Water Dragon stab.
You want to talk about this one?
We have my co-caster, Hypocrite, coming here. I'll ask him his opinions on Walking Wake. What are your thoughts on Walking Wake?
I am personally a huge fan of Walking Wake. Just the ability, I mean, 125 special attack can be further boosted by pros, can be choice specs, can just be like leftovers with flip turn, like we were talking about earlier. Very, very hard to switch. Even with Terra, switch-ins are few and far between. Because Water, Fire, and Dragon, no single type can do that.
Definitely. Additionally, it's both good in Rain and Sun, so it'd be interesting to see a Sun or Rain team come here, but might be difficult since Tornadus has already been taken.
True, but there are natural setters in Pelipper and Torkoal still available, so it'll be very interesting if it comes out from Tokyo.
Very interesting. Oh, and here we have the Feather Dancers with a Spathra. Terra Spathra first pick.
Spathra is crazy threat.
Oh, and this is the wheel, so we have Orthworm coming as well.
Yeah, and being paired with Orthworm, is Shedtail legal in this draft?
Shedtail is legal.
That is a horrifying combo.
Indeed.
Getting a Spathra behind a sub, giving it a turn to set up with the speed boost, to getting
Calm Mind.
Calm Mind, getting up those stored powers.
Additionally, with a Terra, it can Terra Fairy and start hitting some Terra Blasts for extremely devastating effect. And I don't want to even think about what that stored power, like you said, is going to be doing to teams that don't have a Dark type.
And yeah, and it's very difficult because since you know what your opponent has, you can Terra to stop your opponent's checks to it.
Very powerful lead so far, but I don't think either of those Mons will be pointed too highly right now. So some bargain picks. Shedtail is legal, so that is an extremely threatening team right there. 18 points for Spathra? That's a lot. Well, yeah, no. Okay, so Take Heart Manaphy isn't legal, but it will still be using Tail Glow. Okay, interesting.
Yeah. Very much still a threat with Tail Glow, but Take Heart was a little bit too much.
Yeah, but back to and we've got Ogre Pawn. Is this
yeah, this is a Terra Ogre Pawn.
Teal Mask? Okay, Teal Mask. Okay, very interesting.
Yeah. For those who are unaware, Ogre Pawn has a special gimmick where it can only Terra into grass, but when it does, its ability will change to embody aspect, which will give it a speed boost every time it comes in. Turning that 110 speed tier from around average at this point to very fast, very threatening, as well as with access to a lot of coverage moves. Ogre Pawn is a huge threat.
And it has Defiant as its base ability in Teal Mask form?
Yes.
Making it very powerful against Pokemon that have Intimidate that could come in to try to check its strong physical attacking power. Additionally, if it comes... Ooh, here we go with Zarude as the second pick to the Gliscor team with choice cuts.
This is looking to be a pretty nasty defensive core that can definitely hit hard as well. Zarude and Gliscor both Mons that are sort of known for being able to take hits, but Zarude can definitely dish out damage, and Gliscor is, as we've mentioned, nothing to be rifled with.
Additionally, they're pretty good to each other's counters, except for Ice, so it'll be interesting to see if we see a pick from choice cuts later that will resist Ice or counter Ice to become an even stronger offensive core.
A powerful Steel type would be a very natural next step here.
Azumarill, we're seeing the beginning of a Fairy Dragon Steel core here.
And also, Terra Azumarill with Belly Drum is very scary.
That's extremely frightening, yeah, with getting up to max attack immediately in one move at the cost of half your HP, especially with priority moves like Aqua Jet, that can really sweep the game.
A large part of dealing with Azumarill is finding out what can live a Belly Drum to Aqua Jet, but if it Terra Waters, that equation becomes a lot harder.
It'll be interesting to see how people build to face this beast throughout the draft.
Lucario.
A very powerful pick from Jeffrey.
Lucario is definitely a Mon that appreciates being able to take just one more hit and hit just a little bit harder. So I like the Terra there. Not spending too many points on a very powerful Terramon, but instead picking a Mon that can Terra very well for a lower cost.
Indeed. Especially since it gets such a wide variety of moves to choose from, and it can choose to either be a physical attacker or a special attacker, makes this a very powerful pick. Rillaboom. Ooh, so we get some terrain support here with Rillaboom Grass.
I actually really, really like Rillaboom and Ursaluna Blood Moon together because since Ursaluna is so slow and hits so hard, it very much appreciates having extra healing, and the grassy terrain Rillaboom helps with that.
Additionally, this offers a very powerful physical attack to complement Ursaluna's powerful special attack.
Grassy Glide was nerfed this gen, but even very powerful.
And we see a Gengar pick on the advanced Hariyama's team to complement the Urshifu single strike. This will get rid of a lot of fairy types that aim to counter it with its strong poison special attacks.
Yeah, these two form a very powerful offense core as well. They're both pretty fast, very good Scarfers, as well as very good at holding Band and Specs respectively. It'll be finding this team will be definitely a very big part. Is sure scouting out items and trying to see what that is, but that is a danger.
Zapdos, a very good defensive pick here. Also could see the start of a rain team here.
Zapdos is also very nice because it has Volt Absorb to pair with that Palafin with it.
Indeed. And that flying also resists the grass, so it'll be a good switch into that as well.
True.
Very strong special attacker as well to complement the physical side of Palafin, although I have seen Palafin run Boom Burst before.
Yeah. Zapdos does also get Heat Wave to help remove those grass types that Palafin might struggle to KO.
And steel types. A Jirachi pick.
Jirachi is very good, very versatile, and you always have to worry about running in Scarf Ironhead with some race. Lunches can be very devastating if RNG doesn't go away.
It's also a very good defensive pivot to go with the Terra Walking or the Terra Iron Valiant that we see here. It will be immune to any poison moves that try to hit the fairy side of the Iron Valiant, and it will be resisted to any psychic moves.
Yeah, and 100 is not bad in terms of defenses, and it does get Wish, so it can get very interesting passer.
We're seeing a regenerator core being built on Steel City.
Yeah, this is a nasty regenerator core with
the powerful physical defense of this Slowbro is nothing to sneeze at. 95, 110.
Slowbro did lose teleport this generation, but even still, these two are very difficult together. It's going to be very hard to break through this team.
Did Slowbro get Chilly Reception or just Slowking?
Just Slowking.
Just Slowking, all right. We see a Terra Roaring Moon.
Terra Roaring Moon is very scary. It turns what was an okay offensive profile into very threatening with something like Terraflying Acrobatics, as well as the fact it got Scale Shot in the DLC, means that it can now very easily up.
And that Dragon Dark to complement the Ghost Fighting Psychic types will not be safe against this team. We see the Goldengo join the party as it says a legalized Steel Ghost. Will pair nicely with the Alolan Ninetales, a good switch into any steel attacks coming in, as well as any fighting type moves.
Goldengo is a very versatile mon, able to run a lot of things. Very much appreciate two status move that is gold, and honestly, having it behind Veil is very threatening and sort of take away some of that investment from your bulk and put it into your special attack.
It'll also
devastating.
Also give you that chance to set up some nasty plots. And we're seeing the wheel again. We also draft a Landorus Therian, very powerful Intimidate Mon, very strong special attack, very powerful ground flying type.
It also pairs very nicely with the Goldengo, being able to be completely immune to all those ground type moves that Goldengo.
Additionally, it's good against any physical attackers that might want to try to hit that Alolan Ninetales. Once again, good counter to any steel types that'll try to deal with it, or any fighting types, as well as any poison type moves.
Not a fun core to fight.
A very powerful offensive core. You see Torkoal for a powerful Sun team that'll exponentially increase the power of a Photosynthesis Roaring Moon, especially with that Terra. You could run a different item instead of Photosynthesis and try to get that acrobatics boost in a different, potentially more offensive way.
Yeah, that is. Sun and past Paradox Mons are a tried and tested strategy, and Roaring Moon with its new toys is definitely going. That's on.
It'll be interesting to see if any more past Paradox Mon are drafted to this team. Pheasantipity draft onto the Regenerator core. Very interesting. This seems like the beginning of a very powerful stall team with Pheasantipity easily able to spread those toxic through its ability Toxic Chain.
And not only that, Pheasantipity grounded poison type is a great absorber of toxic spikes, like we were talking about earlier. Hazard removal is at a premium. It's very difficult to find good hazard removal in Gen 9, so Pheasantipity having the natural ability.
Especially on that Regenerator core. Do not want either of those Pokemon getting toxic. A Hydreigon draft onto the Iron Valiant team. Once again, extremely powerful offensive core. We see a fighting type, dark type, and a psychic type. Tried and tested core, offensive core. Additionally, it's also Fairy Dragon Steel core.
Very true. This is definitely shaping out to be a very interesting. Hydreigon's very nice because of its plethora of coverage. Not really sure what it's going to be running, and one of those hard to prep for everything.
It's got any kind of coverage move, gets rid of a lot of steel types. Fire Blast, yeah. Also a very good use of Choice Scarf or Choice Specs. You never know what it's going to run.
Yeah.
And we see, speaking of hazards,
Yeah. Speaking of hazards, we have God's Gift to Hazards, Glamora.
any physical move that hits it, it will start dropping Toxic Spikes. It gets Stealth Rock itself. And not only that, its 130 special attack stat is nothing to sneeze at. If this thing was choiced or Scarfs or Specs, it could be a very powerful special attacking threat.
Yeah, its ability to switch modes depending on the matchup is very useful. And not only does it learn Stealth Rocks, it also gets Spikes and Top. So it can definitely set up hazards if your opponent's not ready to remove them, or it can go very fast and hit very hard if your opponent is ready for hazards.
Additionally, it can clear hazards on your side while spreading poison to the enemy team using Mortal Spin, a very solid pick.
Mortal Spin is very interesting because a lot of spin blockers are typically Ghost, but poison moves, that will not work.
And here we see a Klefki, another Prankster Mon. This could be a Prankster screen score, which will be devastating with Urshifu Single Strike and Gengar. That's a very powerful team so far.
Yeah, Urshifu and Gengar are both mons that very much appreciate getting some more defense, so getting some out of Klefki, and as well as Urshifu and Gengar are both mons that appreciate the opponent team getting slowed down, so being able to Thunder Wave with Prankster, very useful.
That paralysis spread is nothing to sneeze at. Hawlucha. Oh, an Unburdened Mon on a grassy terrain team. That is a match made in heaven. This Hawlucha will not need to run as much speed as anybody would think to start outspeeding the entire competition.
Hawlucha, very devastating. Very much will appreciate the hard hits coming out from Ursula Blood Moon and Rillaboom. And it can just come in and end the game at the drop of a hat.
Indeed, those powerful close combats with a max adamant attack are nothing to sneeze at. I'll be swapping out with my co-caster Proko right now.
So as those two are switching out, we see the Iron Bundle pick come down. Iron Bundle is a very powerful attacker with a combination of Freeze Dry and Hydro Pump is very hard to switch. Definitely appreciate those hazards from King Loot, chipping down any opponent that could live. It's powerful.
It does, and this thing is actually the fastest Gen 9 Pokemon, if I recall correctly. Not all like it's obviously slower than Dragapult, but it's the fastest Gen 9 Pokemon, which gives it an amazing speed tier of 136.
Yeah.
Which outspeeds several Scarfers.
Yeah, and not to mention that can be boosted further with Perlisson.
Yes.
Or Quark Drive, rather. But
if Vestal decides to draft Pincurchin, that could be interesting. Probably won't, but Pincurchin's kind of... But Iron Bundle's basically unresisted stab with that stab Hydro Pump, that stab Ice Beam or Freeze Dry to cover the water types that do resist its stabs. And a defense stat that's very manageable. To like it can take a neutral physical hit. Bundle's scary.
Zor coming out. The Zor is a very classic good mon. Hits very hard with Bullet Punch and Technician. And just out, it's a very strong mon.
Another Fairy Steel, Dragon Core as well. And Scizor I think is one of the better Steel types due to that Technician, Choice Band, and Bullet Punch. It's it dents. It dents not even just like weak hits. It can dent neutral hits too.
And the Baxcalibur definitely would appreciate Fairy types getting removed, getting free setup with Scale Shot.
Especially something like Alola Ninetales, which this thing kind of hard counters.
Set up a Roar Veil if you've already been killed by Bullet Punch.
Exactly. This Rotom Wash, another signature Pokemon of just defensive bulky cores with Will-O-Wisp to spread burn, Thunder Wave to spread paralysis, Volt Switch to pivot, Hydro Pump for just good general damage. Rotom Wash is a very solid check to the ice types that give this team trouble.
Yeah, this team is looking very bulky and very difficult to break. Not envy.
And with Gliscor and Rotom Wash both hovering above Spikes and Toxic Spikes with their flying and levitate abilities respectively, hazards in general for this team aren't going to be as oppressive as opposed to like other teams that need some sort of.
Not to mention,
boots.
Rotom Wash is one of the very few doggers left after the Gen 9.
I don't think it gets to Fog.
Oh, well, I guess it lost that too. Unfortunate.
Dude, everything got defog in Gen 7, and then nothing, and then everything got knockoff in Gen 8, and then everything else just dropped. Yeah, no defog.
But speaking of hazard removal, we have Iron Treads, one of the premier hazard removals. It does get rapid spin, and it is a very powerful offensive threat with high speed, high attack, the ability to use Warp Drive to increase those.
This thing is not just an offensive beast, but a very defensive one as well. Ground Steel as a typing is riddled with annoying weaknesses, but nothing that's not manageable, especially for something like Ogerpon and Walking Wake. You're weak to fire, but yeah, that's handled by Walking Wake. You're weak to fighting, but Play Rough that's gonna Play Rough or Draker Meteor, that's gonna hurt from either of those teams.
Not to mention, it doesn't have a bad defensive spread at all. It can easily pivot into a defensive role if hazard removal.
It can pivot as well with Volt Switch as well with counter every time I said as well there. Yaskarada. This is an interesting Pokemon. It can be a hazard lead, it can be a late game choice banner or scarf cleaner, it can be like just general utility. This thing is very versatile in its roles. Protean is an amazing ability even after the nerf. Overgrow does see usage though, because that Flower Chick move is absurdly strong if it's put in that 33% range. And that's often used because of Focus Sash, because this thing's defenses aren't that good, but
Speaking of it having bad defenses, it's another mon that very much appreciates getting a Shed Tail from Orc.
yeah, which is insane that that's legal. But this is actually a really interesting core because this could technically be a Steel Fairy, Dragon Core if Masquerada decides to go Protean with that Fairy type. And Protean's honestly, what is Protean but discount Terra? You know?
Very true.
Oh.
And there is Clodsire, a very needed defensive option for this team. Again, a grounded poison type, so being those toxic spikes that might cause a Spothra a lot of trouble. I very much like this.
Yeah, Clodsire is good defensively because while Earthworm is good defensively, well, you want to preserve its HP for that Shed Tail. So Clodsire works as a very good pick, especially with that unaware ability, meaning that even this thing it means this thing shuts down any Seto Sweeper with Toxic and being immune to those stat boosts.
Not to mention it baits in a lot of ground moves, which Earthworm can heal up off of.
True, that makes for a very powerful core, especially if like a choice locked Earthquake or something. Earthworm comes in for free, Shale Tails to a Spothra, and from there it's probably Curtains.
Gardevoir coming out. A very strong attacker, a mon that very much likes to run Turf and has so much coverage.
Yeah, Gardevoir is not a weak Pokemon. Anyone who's played with a Gardevoir knows that this thing hits like a truck and honestly can take a special hit pretty solidly as long as it's not like absurdly powerful.
Yeah. Honestly, like coverage is sort of the name of the game for this team. With Walking Wake, Gardevoir, and Ogerpon,
yeah,
it's going to be very difficult to get some dedicated switch-in. Very strong attackers.
Yeah, Wake has Wake has fire moves and Hurricane as well. Ogerpon has fairy moves, and I think it has Stomping Tantrum, so it's ground coverage. Gardevoir has that Thunderbolt, which is very hard to switch into sometimes, especially because your Thunderbolt switch-in is usually a Grass type, but that Grass type doesn't really want to deal with Ogerpon at all.
Having a little bit of technical difficulties. One moment.
Oh, okay. There we go.
But getting back on track, we have Terra Frostmoth, a very powerful mon with Quiver Dance, Terra, and the ability to have all special damage with Ice Scales.
That's what all the hazards are for. Spreading of the Will-O-Wisp, spreading of the hazards. Frostmoth can pick up on those damaged targets, set up a QD, and from there, it's over. Ice Scales reducing the special damage completely. Will-O-Wisp cutting the damage of the burn. or will ow, Will-O-Wisp Burn cutting attack in half means that Frostmoth, with its Ice Scales ability, has a really easy time setting up on a lot of things.
Frostmoth is definitely a mon that you need a dedicated answer to, or else it can and will run away with the game, and Terra only helps that.
It is a Pokemon that does need to Terra though, because that Ice Bug type is too detrimental, even after all those defensive buffs, because it has that quad Stealth Rock weakness, which means it has to run heavy duty boots, and if it is running boots, you're not running reliable recovery and leftovers, so you're stuck running like Ice Beam, Giga Drain, QD, and that's 3 of your move slots already. So what's your final move? Terra Blast, sure, but then you're forced to run an offensive Terra that can cover things, which ground is good offensively and defensively, but it's opportunity cost, because then you have 3 Pokemon weak to Ice.
And we have a very interesting pick in Infernape, a powerful mixed attacker that can run a lot of options. Very good at removing those steel types that might stop Baxcalibur and Azumarill in their tracks.
This team's interesting. It has a lot of priority potentially. Scizor's Bullet Punch, Infernape's Vacuum Wave, and Mach Punch, Azu's Aqua Jet, and Baxcalibur's Ice Shard. All very powerful priority, but all quite physical aside from Infernape. So you're going to have something to deal with those physical defensive Pokemon.
A strong special attacker would be very good as a next pick here.
Yes.
Rotom Mow coming out. Another Rotom form. It has a lot of the benefits of Rotom Wash, although a bit of a worse typing. But you get it at a much lower price, which is very nice for draft.
Yeah, Rotom Mow is most of the Rotom forms are quite interesting because they want to Volt Switch in and out a lot, but ground types don't allow that. However, both Wash and Mow, and I guess by extension Freeze, have that stab super effective hit on those ground types, but unlike Rotom the Refrigerator, these Mow and Wash have much more accurate attacks. It's just Mow has a much more higher drawback for hitting that attack with that special attack drop.
And not to mention, all of the Rotom forms love using a Choice Scarf and having Trick to help debilitate the opponent's defensive mons.
Dude, nothing is more fun than tricking a Choice Scarf onto a Blissey. It's beautiful. Moltres is a very interesting pick in Gen 9. This thing's been kind of whatever in previous generations, but Moltres has seen a lot of usage nowadays due to its defensive typing actually being fairly solid now. In this, it can with its Flame Body ability, it cripples it has a 30% chance to cripple a Pokemon that hits with a physical attacker, or is just Burn in general is just a good status to inflict.
Yeah. Moltres is definitely a mon that enjoys having good hazard removal because being forced to run the heavy duty is very difficult for it with that quad rock weakness.
Does Moltres get Defog in this gen? I know the answer is no, but like my heart hopes, And this pairs well with Terra Blood Moon as well. Because of, just Moltres, its special attack is not a bad stat. Like you hit a Fire Blast, that's gonna hurt. My friend.
Yeah. Gastrodon is a very good defensive mon. That Water Absorb is very nice. It's only weak to grass, although it is quad weak to it.
It's not even water. It's Storm Drain. So you hit this thing with a water move, and it gets buff.
Gastrodon is always a solid defensive choice, which this team definitely wants some more defensive options with 2 very frail first picks.
And Klefki has a great typing defensively, but one thing about both the defensive Pokemon on this team, they have manageable stats. It's like Clefable. They're workable, but they're not god shattering. They need to invest a lot in order to take those hits. Otherwise, it is possible for them to just get bowled over.
Yeah, this is definitely a team with a very high skill ceiling, and
Yes.
it will be very interesting to see how Jake runs with that.
Speaking of Clefable.
Speaking of, Clefable is a great mon. It has a lot of versatility because Unaware can be great against some teams, like we were talking about Baxcalibur setting up earlier. Magic Guard, always a fantastic ability. It's got a lot of coverage, the ability to wish to heal up your team. It's really a fantastic mon.
One thing I did see was bluffing Magic Guard to use Unaware to stop setup sweepers, which you bluff with heavy duty boots, which is interesting. It is opportunity cost again because you need that Magic Guard ability to take on all the hazards or just general statuses in general in Draft League. But Wish Clefable with Protect, because of Soft Boil's nerf to APP, now Wish Protect, it's much more. You can Wish to Palafin, and it gets a second go with that Choice Band or anything else really, Stab, Jet Punch, or Wave Crash, and you don't want to let that happen.
Not to mention that fairy types are at a premium in this draft. There are not a ton of good fairy types in Gen 9, so the ability to take one that's so solid is very good.
Yeah, there's not a lot of offensive fairy types. You have Azu, you have Enamorous, but then what do you have? Valiant, I suppose.
But Valiant is already gone.
Yeah, and Azu, so is Azu. So really just Enamorous left. Gary.
Yeah, Gyarados is another just great mon, very versatile with Intimidate. It can run a very defensive spread and be very good at taking hits. With Moxie, it can run away with the game alongside Dragon Dance. It's very versatile, which is really what this team likes between the Iron Valiant, the Hydreigon, and the Gyarados.
Intimidate is interesting too because it forces something to switch out if it's a physical attacker, and if you're forcing something to switch out, what you don't want to let in for free is all the other Pokemon. You don't want to let in a Jirachi that is potentially paraflinching your team or just support in general, which is annoying. You don't want to let in a Specs Hydreigon dropping Dracos, and you don't want to let in a Terra Valiant.
Our Iron Valiant with the Pro-Sense and the speed can very easily run away with the game.
It will raise the world with that glaive it has. Once again, this Spheal City having a very defensive core. Snorlax, Snorlax is a one because it has that immunity ability, which isn't amazing, but it prevents poison, which nothing on this team appreciates aside from Fez.
Having a second toxic immunity and a toxic absorber is very nice.
Well, it doesn't absorb toxic, but it is immune to it, so.
This team is looking very difficult to break.
Yeah, especially if it's Curslax, that'll be dangerous because then you have 2 physical mons, 2 pretty special defensive mons, and a pretty all the types here, Poison Fairy, Mono Normal, Water Psychic, Pure Flying. Those are really awkward types to cover all the way around because Thunderbolt hits the 2, super effective, but the other 2 have very high special defense, especially Snorlax. This thing eats special hits for days. It can eat a Focus Blast for all it hears. And it'll devour it because that's what all Snorlax does, is eat.
Very true. Mesprit's a very interesting mon in draft. It has a lot of versatility. It has a lot of options in being a lead. It has Healing Wish. It has Explosion to try to remove a problematic Pokemon. As well as, I'm pretty sure it does get access to Sunny Day, so it could be a backup Sunsetter in case the Torkoal faints early.
The thing with the late Guardians is that usually if you want to lead, you want a Stealth Rock lead that it can boom, you go Azelf. If you want a bulky Pokemon, you go Uxie. So Mesprit's the weird between child that has what it takes, just not all the time.
Very interesting. I'm going to be passing it off to Ol Yorkshire, and maybe he can give his thoughts on Mesprit.
So opinions on Mesprit being the middle child.
Mesprit's one of the premier NU meta threats. I have no thoughts on it other than disdain for its ability to set weather.
What about that Damp Rock Gallade though?
Damp Rock Gallade is a crazy tech, but here we have Hisuian Zoroark, who very well might disguise itself as any other member of the team. And its ability to soak up hits, especially fighting type and ghost type hits, may come in handy for soaking up ghost hits that might be going for Goldengo, but it'll be interesting to see what kind of Pokemon they're drafting on the rest of the team. that might try to take use of Hisuian Zoroark's
Yeah, usually with
immunity.
his Hisuian Zoroark, you want something, you want to pair it with things that can, bluff. And that it does bluff ghost moves very well. With, because it gets Nasty Plot, so does Golden Go. Gets Shadow Ball, so does Golden Go. You don't really know until it can run Choice Scarf, so does Golden Go. It can run Choice Specs, so does Golden Go. Hisuian Zoroark and Golden Go, they both run similar sets.
Both very powerful choices. I think a key is the subtlety of how you use it and what you want to do with it.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be a very good switch in if we see some weak to fighting type Pokemon as well. Another Protean Mon here with Greninja.
So only Cinderace is left with Protean ability.
Very powerful. It's one of the Pokemon that could be weak to a fighting type, but with Protean, it probably won't be Dark type all the time, but it could be interesting to see a lot of Dark Pulse Greninja here to see its ability. It's also a very powerful offensive pivot with a strong, what will be stab U-turns.
Yeah, and I think we're kind of forgetting the fact that this team is going to be backed up by Aurora Veil probably all of the time. Let's be honest here. Alola Ninetales is a great speed tier, aside from maybe being walled, not being able to set up against Scizor, but there are ways to counter Scizor on this team, as you can see. So all these Pokemon are going to get some massive defensive buffs. Golden Go, Hisuian Zoroark, Landorus Therian, and Greninja. So Greninja's frailty isn't that much of an issue. And if it has that Battle Bond ability, then...
It's also definitely a very powerful Mon against some of the fire types that might be trying to get at the Alolan Ninetales and Goldengo.
Also, rest in peace, Ash Greninja. May he rest well.
May he rest well.
That was such a dumb decision.
And here we go, another powerful water type starter, Empoleon. It's got Water Steel. We see the beginning of perhaps what will be a Dragon Steel Fairy Core, but it's interesting to think about what that Fairymon might be. This Pokemon got a new ability and...
Competitive. Which boosts its special attack stat by 2 stages upon getting a stat drop, which is the opposite of Defiant, which it had before.
Also interesting to see, especially with the Pokemon with Intimidate that are going to want to switch into those very strong physical threats of Annihilate and Roaring Moon, to see an Empoleon double switch to try to take advantage of those Intimidates to get that boost.
Ape has Defiant too.
Oh, Ape has Defiant.
It does have Defiant. And here's the thing. This thing actually has Defog, which you need for a Sun team to cover Torkoal.
Yes, that's very true. Additionally, it gets that strong recovery and Roost.
I think it lost Roost. Fortunate.
Oh, they took it away from it as soon as they gave it to it?
It has Flip Turn.
That's true. It has Flip Turn, a good pivot.
Yeah.
It does.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
Well then.
It didn't used to. It got Roost. It has new recovery.
Okay, there we go.
It was a big thing.
Yeah.
Also has Vacuum Wave.
It does not have defense.
Well, never mind then. So they still need Hazard Control. They have a Spin Blocker.
They do. They do have a Spin Blocker. What else can you ask for?
Oh wait, does Torkoal count as Hazard Control because it's Rapid Spin?
Yes, it does. There we go.
Yes! That was loud in my ear.
We see a very powerful NFE Pokemon here. This thing used to be big in NU, my favorite tier. Crocalor, everyone's beloved, the favorite NFE Pokemon. You put an Eviolate on that bad boy, that's 78 and 58 respective defense, special defense, go through the roof. Very powerful fire Pokemon. It gets, I believe it gets Torch Song still, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't.
No, it does not. Oh, it has to use Flamethrower then, that's unfortunate.
It doesn't even need Flamethrower. It gets Wisp, it gets Slack Off.
It gets anything you need, and it as a Terramon, that'll be a very powerful defensive mon.
Remind me to show you that one video of Crocalor dancing.
It also gets Slack Off as powerful recovery.
Yeah.
And with its the ability Unaware, it'll be very good into any setup sweepers.
It's actually a solid Pokemon with Eviolite.
It's extremely solid. It also gets Yawn to deal with setup sweepers as well.
Yeah, so that's your moveset right there. You don't know fire move needed.
Yeah. Donphan, another rapid spinner.
Hazard Control as is necessary for something, just for support, like things like Iron Valiant and Gyarados. Donphan is a very interesting Pokemon because, much like its ancient and future counterparts, it's a very physically defensive Pokemon. Well, its special defense and speed isn't amazing. It can invest in Assault Vest, and with Rapid Spin, you don't need to. It doesn't matter if you have Assault Vest to Rapid Spin.
I think it's also very important to see a ground type on this team with
Yes,
Gyarados because any
insanely.
electric types that try to hit that Gyarados will rip right through it, but a ground type switch in will keep that Gyarados safe.
Yeah, it's like it's so the electric types that want to switch on Gyarados don't are given free entry by Donphan, but the grass and the water types don't want to deal with Hydreigon, so it makes a very powerful triangle where they all have their switches.
Monkey Dory, big fan of Monkey Dory. I love monkeys. It might not be the best of the loyal trio, but that 130 special attack and then 106 speed can be devastating.
This is very important too because Glamora is often used as a suicide lead. It's the lead first, dies, and then the goal is to win a 5v6. Monkey Dory provides that secondary grounded poison slot in case things go wrong.
Additionally, it gets Parting Shot, which is and U-Turn, which are both very powerful pivot moves. Parting Shot allows you to lower both the attack and special attack of a Pokemon while switching out, which can be a very good way to pave the way for a switch in to Terra Palafin, to try to get it in and out quickly, or the switch in on the second switch of Terra Palafin while in hero form, to give it time to perhaps set up a bulk up or a sword stance while you need to switch out to regain your offensive capabilities.
And that U-turn can offer a 30% chance for that toxic chain ability, which as a concept is a war crime.
It also gets Fake Out to try to get that toxic chain ability.
And Pheasant like all of them have those Pokemon are unethical.
No poison type is ethical.
What about Gengar?
Okay, Gengar is one of my favorites.
I mean, Gengar does. Fair enough.
Gengar is not the most ethical. Here we have Serena, a very powerful Pokemon for this team, especially because it'll get rid of priority moves that are trying to destroy it, like Shadow Sneak or a Aqua Jet.
And to be fair, it's fine with Aqua Jet.
It is, but if you Shadow Sneak into Gengar, that switch in will allow to switch in for free.
True.
It's a very good move. Its attack stat is amazing. Its defensive stats aren't bad as well, and that speed, while not great, it's always good to have some mid-tier speed Pokemon so that you can keep people running max speed if possible.
Choice, like a choice Sarina with a band. The best way of clapping back at choice Pokemon is with powerful priority, like Sucker Punch or some stab Ice Shard. That Queenly Majesty ability does help it protect against those powerful hits. And with a choice band equipped, it's gonna take some it's gonna do some damage. Not take some damage. It's gonna do some damage. That one thing I would like to see is that Trop Kick move.
Oh yes.
It's not the strongest. It's obviously Power Whip is better, but that attack drop
can be big.
And it has Rapid Spin, so support sets are viable.
So an incredibly powerful defensive move. This defensive mon. This team, what a Ursaluna Blood Moon may lack in special defense, a Hisuian Goodra will more than make up for with every defensive stat under the sun. 80 HP, 100 defense, 150 special defense, and that those attacking stats are very strong as well. And that Steel Dragon typing is incredible.
You have to play very careful with Hisuian Goodra. It has no reliable recovery. Whilst its attacking stats aren't bad, they aren't the best when they're uninvested. So you need to play carefully when you're running defensive. And once it's in the field, it doesn't have a whole lot. It doesn't have Scald like normal Goodra. It doesn't have Knockoff like normal Goodra. It does have a few things, like obviously a Stab Draco Meteor is a Stab Draco Meteor. But you're still gonna have to, it does have that Shell Armor ability though.
That is true.
So
the ability to ignore crits and to set up perhaps defensive and special offensive buffs on yourself.
Sweep with Body Press. That's a scary end.
It actually does get knockoff.
Okay, so that's actually great utility.
Incredible.
That is great utility.
The ability to just get rid of stuff's items, especially on Pokemon like Moltres, who are 4 times weak to rocks. Of course, Moltres is safe on this team for now.
But like someone drafts Charizard or something, I don't know.
And we see a draft of Quaquavel, a water fighting type. Very powerful. We're seeing a lot of double types on this team with water and fighting, but I think that double up is good here because this is another strong physical threat, especially with Aqua Step to buff its own speed. That is an incredibly powerful water type Pokemon.
Quaquavel is amazing just as I love it. Just Quaquavel's fun. It's just a fun Pokemon. It's Pokemon Brazil. That's what it is. But no, that water fighting type is very potent offensively. It has access to that ice spinner attack for coverage. Aqua Step. If Aqua Step picks up a kill, it has a attack boost and a speed boost, and from there it can steamroll very fast.
I completely forgot about Moxie. Yeah, this is a rolling stone of a Pokemon.
This is a very dangerous team because Tinglu sets up hazards. Rotom gets the chip and cripples opponents. If Quackball doesn't sweep, Iron Bundle will pick up a lot of kills, and that Terra Lucario, if it's something like Life Orb or Choice, this is a very dangerous team offensively.
Most definitely.
It just needs a few more defensive options, and it's beautiful.
And we see Shaman land another powerful NU threat. An incredibly good grass-type Pokemon. It completes this fire, water, grass core we're seeing here. Base 100 and everything can make it an incredibly competent special attacker, physical attacker, very fast. It can be extremely bulky if it wants in either way, defensively or special defensively. And its signature move, Seed Flare, allows it to lower, while not the most accurate at 80% accuracy, 100 base power, and a 50% chance, I believe.
It's 30. I think
30?
it's 40%, which is absurd.
Which is absurd. That is a high chance. To lower your special defense twice will guarantee that many people do not want to stay in for that second Seed Flare. It also has good coverage in Earth Power to get rid of fire types.
One thing to note is that this thing is a wonderful Scarfer. Obviously, it has that Seed Flare. It has that
Earth Power.
It has Earth Power, but it has access. That ability, Natural Cure, means it can't be statused if you just don't want it to.
Yeah, the ability to switch out and get rid of any status. Additionally, does it get rest? I don't believe so.
No, but it has Healing Wish.
Healing Wish,
which is an amazing support move for the late game.
Yeah, if your Excalibur is a little bit low and you don't want to switch it in on spikes, you can send Shaman in. Healing Wish, while Shaman will die, it is for the greater good of you sweeping with Excalibur.
Exactly.
And it gets reliable recovery and synthesis as well.
Imagine if Shaman was a Grass Fairy type. That'd be horrifying.
That would be crazy. Talonflame. Interesting. We could see some Tailwind shenanigans. Competent Pokemon, both physically and specially. Usually you're going to run physical, but...
Here's the thing. Talonflame isn't that bad defensively.
That's true as
Heavy
well.
duty boots allow for its quad weakness of Stealth Rock to just disappear. Access to Roost. Will-O-Wisp is an amazing move just to cripple physical attackers that it would want to come in on. It has access to U-Turn. It has that. It has a U-Turn. It has that Stab Flare Blitz, that Stab Raybird. If you want to go Swords Dance, you can go Swords Dance. But I think that this is a very defensive team, and this thing isn't that offensive. It's offensive, but it's not that offensive.
And that ability, Gale Wings, can come in clutch as well.
Right. Gale Wings was... They did not need to nerf that ability. It's powerful, but it's an 81 attack.
They did. No.
It's 81 attack.
Okay, but in doubles, which is the format they care about,
Fair.
Tailwind is insane at priority. So, still a very strong Pokemon. So did you know Conkeldurr gets Defog?
I did know that. It spins around. I knew that.
The image of Conkeldurr wielding its massive concrete pillars and just trying to make a tornado around itself to get rid of all
imagine
hazards.
it T-posing and just doing the you spin me right around.
So the question is then, why doesn't Rapid Spin make more sense? We will never know.
Do you really want to give this thing speed boosts?
That is true. You know what? You make
140
a great
attack,
point.
Guts ability, Flame Orb with Drain Punch and Iron Fist.
You make an amazing point. That 140 attack is especially powerful with a Guts boosted Mach Punch.
Yeah, I know. Okay, I know you can't have Drain. You can't have Iron Fist and Guts at the same time, but either or work.
Yeah.
Both are great abilities for it.
Both incredibly powerful. Additionally, you can run Sheer Force, I believe, on it.
You can. It doesn't really have a whole lot of moves to make Sheer Force though.
That's true.
Like
but
Drain Punch is not affected by Sheer Force.
But Drain Punch is still good to recover any
It's still
Life
good.
Orb damage if you want to stack those Life
Yeah.
Orb Sheer Force procs to get massive damage.
Conkeldurr's abilities are really all amazing. It's just the thing with Sheer Force is it doesn't have a whole lot of moves to take advantage of.
That is true.
But it's fine, honestly. Iron Fist and Guts are perfectly serviceable.
That is true.
Especially with that 140 attack. It's obscene. Go Unova.
And go Unova forever. But after Unova, we get to Kalos, where Sylveon was introduced. A very especially defensive fairy type, and it gets Pixelate, which allows for some fun shenanigans with fairy type quick attack, fairy type. What's the sound type move that is hyper voice? That's the one, hyper voice. With that 110 special attack, that can be extremely scary.
If this was a doubles format, which I know it's not, but if it was, you could do Copycat Sylveon with Komodo and Boom Burst.
that would be a nightmare to go up against.
It is.
Oh my gosh.
But as for Sylveon in singles, it has Wish, it has Protect, it has Calm Mind,
Mhm.
it has Hyper Voice, all of which are very solid moves. And that's just a moveset right there.
Mhm. But we're seeing the beginning. We're seeing once again coming across that Fairy Steel core.
It's a powerful core. Fairy Steel
additionally-
Dragon is dangerous.
Sylveon and Orthworm complement each other very well because Orthworm is all focused on physical defense and Sylveon is very focused on special defense.
They're
Those
both
two.
special defense, actually.
No, Orthworm's physical defense.
Oh, no. Yeah, fair.
You thought I was talking about Claude Sire.
Yeah. The thing with Orthworm is you want to preserve its HP, though. That's the
Mhm.
problem.
That is true.
Doesn't always have. It's always the sheer threat of Shed Tail going into a
Indeed.
spell throw. Like, you bring it, obviously, but sometimes it may not be your entire goal. Sometimes it may be Wish Pass with Sylveon. And actually, Sylveon does that offer that healing to Orthworm in case it does eat a few too many hits.
Yeah. We're looking at.
I'm waiting for
We
not
see-
that, but oh god.
We see the mascot pick here.
Yes,
Every
yes.
Oricorio is available in one. We see the mascot matching here, but the Feather Dancers team will have access to all Oricorio types: electric flying, fire flying, ghost flying, and psychic flying. And with that Terra, Revelation Dance can be any type you want with 20 more base power than Terra Blast.
Once again, seeing that fire flying type being very solid as a defensive type.
Indeed. Additionally, it has Quiver Dancer now. I'm very upset in previous drafts that the Pokemon Club has done. I brought it and it didn't have it, which would have been amazing for the team. But it has Quiver Dance now, and that's all that matters to make it a extremely competent threat on this team.
Yeah, like you get this thing, this thing in random battles on Showdown.
This thing getting a Shed Tail sub would be crazy as
It'd be
well.
horrifying. Or switching in on another Pokemon, going for
Mhm.
Quiver Dance. I don't know, maybe Frostmoth or Volcarona.
Yeah.
Throwing out ideas here.
And we see Galarian Moltres,
The Soul
Terra
Sucker
coming out.
itself.
An incredibly powerful Pokemon defensively and offensively.
So I'm going to be subbing out to Hypocrite, and he will tell you all about Galarian Moltres.
Oh, it's not Terra.
It's not Terra.
Our bad. Still incredibly scary with those defensive stats. It doesn't really need that Terra to be a powerful threat.
Yeah, Galarian Moltres can set up one Nasty Plot and really run away with the game. Fiery Wrath is a powerful move. Gets access to other powerful stabs with like Hurricane and Air Slash.
And I mean, you don't need another defogger, but Galarian Moltres, I don't think it gets it because normal Moltres doesn't actually. But with that 125 special defense, it's a very powerful special defender, which complements nicely the physical defense you're going to be getting from the Iron Treads. But also that ability Berserk will allow it to switch in on powerful hits and get in a special attack boost. And then if you run Citrus Berry, you can get that boost again once you get lowered back after the healing from that berry.
Yeah, Galarian Moltres is definitely a mon that you have to respect and you have to play around it, or else it will run away from the game with you.
We see Azelf, another one of the Lake Trio, with those powerful attacking stats and speed. Physical, special. It also gets access to, I think, most hazard and screens. A incredibly insane Pokemon. Not completely lacking on the defense either.
As well as it has a very fast healing wish, which can be very useful to get a powerful mon back in the game. Especially something like Talonflame being able to once again proc Gale Wings if it's been damaged already, can very easily shut some threats down.
We could see multiple Tailwinds in one game from that Gale Wings Talonflame. Additionally, this gives a second chance, a second lease on life to that Frostmoth if it comes in and doesn't do as well as expected.
Yeah. Really, just any of these defensive mons. A lot of times you find yourself in a situation where it's too chipped to take another hit to get its recovery going. A healing wish can very much bring them back into the game and turn a finished threat into something very powerful.
I've just realized This team hates ground types turbo. 4 of the Pokemon are immune to ground, with 2 of them using levitate, 2 of them being flying, and the other 2 resist it.
That is true.
No ground types are safe against this team. We see Bisharp now able to use a Violet. What are your thoughts on that?
Violet Bisharp is not something I have a ton of experience with, but does not sound fun to fight against. Bisharp is always a mon that loves playing the Sucker Punch Predict game, which can be very dangerous if you get it wrong, and getting that extra defensive power from a Violet will be very scary.
Additionally, with Defiant, it can switch in on some hazards like Sticky Webs or other sorts of hazards to get that attack boost instead of taking any detriments. It also allows it to ignore Intimidates, that powerful 125 attacking stat.
Yeah, and like mons like Baxcalibur and Scizor and Azumarill really like having a deterrent against Intimidate, and Bisharp is just that.
My favorite of the Apple duo, I guess trio now, because they're adding the Paradox Applemon. But my favorite, my beautiful boy, Appleton, a grass dragon type with thick fat, giving it no quad weaknesses. He's just perfect. And even with Terra, you can Terra Steel, be resistant to neutral to fire type attacks. It's peak. Those defensive stats, 110 HP, 80 defense, 80 special defense, tasteful even. 100 special attack with Draco Meteor or Dragon Pulse, nothing to sneeze at, and Apple Acid to lower that special defense makes it a definite wall breaker against Stall.
Not to mention, Iron Bundle and Lucario very much enjoy having a lowered special defense on a switch on.
Additionally, surprisingly, actually a fire resist, so that could be very good switch in for the Rotom Mo or the Lucario.
Very true. Although there is a Tinglu right there.
There is a Tinglu. Actually, ground doesn't resist fire.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a Tinglu.
Okay, yeah, you're right. It is Tinglu. And here we see a Screamtail, the first Paradox Mon on this team. Does Ursaluna count as Paradox?
No.
No? Okay, the first Paradox Mon on this team. Incredibly powerful in the defense department. 115 HP, 99 defense, 115 special defense, and that speed is out the wazoo.
Yeah. Screamtail doesn't have Prankster, but honestly, with how fast it is, it might as well, and it is very annoying being able to spread Thunder Waves, set up screens.
Wish Pass.
Yeah, it has Wish. It is a very good defensive Mon, and not to mention, Wish is so powerful into a Mon like Blood Moon or Hisuian Gudra, which lacks a lot of reliable recovery.
It also completes a 2-Mon Dragon Steel Fairy Core.
Very true. And we now have work on the Psychic Fighting Dark Core with that and Hawlucha.
That is true. And here we see a Kilowattrel draft for the advanced Hariyama's team. With that 125 speed, the ability to gain, the ability to ignore electric type moves that attack it, as well as ground type moves as an electric type. Very powerful. 105 special attack. It's a very strong Pokemon.
Yeah, Kilowattrel is a very interesting Pokemon. There's again, you were mentioning Singles Tailwind earlier, but this is a mon that can not only set it but get a little bonus from it. Although I don't know how often that might
come into play. Yeah, an attack bonus for such a powerful special attacker is not usually what you want, but perhaps we'll see the switch up here to fake out some unsuspecting draft member. You should just run competitive is what you should do. And here we see Toadscruel, very specially defensive ground type. The ground typing here would be very good for protecting other Pokemon on this team from electric type attacks.
Yeah, and just whenever Toadscruel is mentioned, you have to bring up the Mycelium Mite Spore. While it will have negative priority, the ability to go through abilities with Mycelium Mite is at a premium this gen with Golden Go and Garganacl running around rampant.
Indeed. Does it ignore grass types for the use of Spore as well, or no? No. Okay. Unfortunate, but you still got to play by the rules a little bit. Additionally, that's just a very fast, not too bad special attack ground type. You could hit some powerful earth powers with that. It's also a good switch into ground types against moves against Goldengo if you don't want to use a flying immunity.
Lamora, I think you mean, but
Lamora, yeah. Goldengo's not on this team. That would be nuts.
Goldengo, Lamora, who would ever draft that?
And here we have Rabombi, one of my favorite new additions to the bug type in the DLC editions. 124 speed, 95 special attack, a excellent user of sticky webs. It has access to both screens, an amazing suicide lead. It's also just a quiver dancer, so it's just very scary. You don't know what it's going to do. Just a very solid bug fairy type.
Yeah, once again, versatility being very good for this, and also it's also important to mention that mons like Jirachi and Hydreigon love sticky web support.
The ability to not need to be so fast at 98 and 100, which used to be the fastest, but power creep is what it is, so sticky webs will have to do. And we see somebody drafted Garchomp. I know Proco would be extremely excited about this, very hype. We'll see that Sword Stance Scale Shot. We'll see some Earthquakes. If somebody drafts... I don't believe Ferrothorn is in the game, never mind. I was about to talk about his ability to choose to run special if it really felt like it. While that 102 speed isn't what it used to be, it's still a good mod.
I mean, Scale Shot makes that 102 speed get much higher very quickly. Yeah, Garchomp is just a historically good mon, and it will continue to be.
We have a Suian Electrode, another very strong engine. With that 150 speed, it'll be outspeeding almost anything. In fact, a much-needed speed on this team. It offers a lot as well in that Firewater Grass core, able to get rid of some of the ground types that might be threatening either of the Empoleon or Torkoal.
Not to mention, a fast pivot works very, very nicely with the Annihilate to help build up those Rage Fest stacks.
Indeed. Ability to Bolt Turn. Nothing. Very powerful. I'll be switching out here with my co-caster Proco. I'll see you soon.
It's Garchover. Dragalge, a much-needed grounded poison type for this team. It can set up Toxic Spikes. Its adaptability boosted Draco Meteors are insanely strong. With the ability to drop almost anything, despite that kind of meager special attack stat. Pair that with the Aurora Veil provided perfectly by Alola Ninetales, and this thing's very solid defensive capabilities. This Dragalge will not go down without a fight.
It also pairs very well with Landorus, Therian being able to absorb the ground moves that would threaten it, and just being very specially defensive. Great user of the Assault Vest and can hit very hard.
Yeah, Dragalge can also set up those Toxic Spikes as well. So it can be an absorber, it can be a setter, it can be anything you really need.
I believe it still has Flip Turn, which allows it to pivot, which is very nice for a mon like Greninja or Goldengo.
This team has a lot of pivoting. It has U-turn on 3 mons, Flip Turn on Dragalge. Good. This team has momentum.
Definitely.
This is like someone's in-game team to swap out Landorus at the starter. Wait, no. That is the starter. Yeah, this is an in-game team.
And we see the Umbreon pick coming out. Very defensive, very annoying to get around. It can pass Wishes, which is very nice into a Pokemon like Greninja, which often chips itself down with Life Orb. It's just a very annoying thing to try to get around.
One thing it can do is it can wish 2 Alola Ninetales to get up that second Aurora Veil. Or, if you need it to, it can don the Light Clay and basically do a discount Aurora Veil and both Reflect and Light Screen if it really needs to. There's also that Snarl attack that can make it pretty annoying to switch into with that massive special defense stat.
Masquerain coming out. A low tier god in my opinion, to be honest.
maybe not low tier god.
It gets sticky webs, it gets quiver dance, it dies a lot, but we love it, and it has and will continue to sweep games in my heart.
Once again, this team is kind of funky with speed control because while Roaring Moon in the sun is blazing fast, outside of sun, it's 119 isn't bad at all. It's just outsped by Scarfers. Hisuian Electrode is blazing fast. It's just quite frail. Annihilate is base 90, which isn't bad. Again, it just needs to be a bit faster. This sticky web does allow for other sticky web on Masquerade allows to play the sticky web game. If you need to play sticky web on both teams, you can play sticky web on both teams.
As well as the Intimidate being able to soften off some hits for
Yes.
Rage Fist stack can be very nice.
Or it just allows you to get a sticky web in general. The name of the game is sticky web. Or if you want QD.
Lowland Persian is very interesting.
This is a very interesting pick because it's such a weird Pokemon. It's nothing really. It doesn't really have a whole lot outside of that fur coat ability, making its defense much higher than it seems. It being a dark type allows it to absorb any potential prankster moves, and that blazing fast speed. Because does it get knockoff? I don't think it does.
It does get knockoff.
It does get knockoff. Well, then that makes it a very good
It gets
knockoff.
a knockoff. It gets parting shot. It has a lot of coverage.
Man, this thing is a weird Pokemon. Pancake face. Though on this team, this is a very unconventional team, which I'm all for, honestly. The first four are very bulky Pokemon. First five very bulky Pokemon. Garchomp to sweep. Alolan Persian for weird support. I imagine this thing probably gets Thunder Wave, right?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, and Switcheroo as well for maybe for a choice scarf set to trick a choice scarf on something weird.
Yeah, it's definitely a very interesting mon, and I'm excited to see how it will end up being
I am
used.
very excited to see this one.
Arboliva, my beloved, yet another NU threat, as Ol Yercher would love to have it be known. I am a huge fan of Arboliva. It's very good at being defensive. It can hit back very hard. It gets access to Strength Sap, which is one of the most powerful healing moves in a lot of the right situations. It can set up grassy terrain, which can help keep your other mons alive. I very much enjoy Arboliva.
Strength Sap is weird too because it's an annoying attack to deal with. And one thing in draft is the mind games. If you think they're gonna Strength Sap, you switch to your special attacker. If they don't, then you get hit. Then you get substituted on, and now it's a Subseed Arboliva with Harvest, and it's just keeping on with those citrus berries over and over and over and over again. So as well as just being generally tilted. I'm sure you fought Tropius on the ladder, right? One thing to note is that this thing is no slouch when it comes to offensive either. It doesn't have the best move pool. Like it has Giga Drain, has Energy Ball, has a Leaf Storm.
It gets Dazzling Gleam and Earth Power, which is a lot of what it will end up
Yeah,
needing a lot
that's
of the
fair.
time. But yeah, it definitely struggles from a little bit of a lack of coverage, but it makes up for it with just a fantastic defensive move pool.
Also looks at normal typing as well. Normal is not a good defensive. Like yeah, you have a Ghost immunity, which you kind of need that on this team. But that fighting weakness does not help you a whole lot because you now have two Pokemon that you now have three Pokemon that aren't the biggest fan of eating a fighting move. Or four. Iron Valiant isn't that bulky.
Yeah. Although most fighting types are physical, and Gyarados as a bulky mon could definitely help with that, especially with the flying typing as well. Gunk Tank coming out. Another grounded poison, although we did already have one with Monkey Dory and Glamora.
I think this team's aim of the game is to get up early hazards and spread poison, and then from there, I would not be surprised if we see something that has Hex later to take advantage of all the poison enemies. And from there, Palafin can clean up fairly solidly with that stab priority Jet Punch.
Yeah, very true. Skunk Tank does have Hex to take advantage, and it can set some toxic spikes if we don't want to use Glamora. Skunk Tank is another mon that it can be very bulky in the right situation, but stats leave a little something to be desired, so it's a little difficult to use.
Skuntank really suffers from that pursuit removal as well. It used to be one of the best pursuit Pokemon out there, and now it's gone. So that takes away a lot of what Skuntank used to have. It has Stab Gunk Shot, it has Stab Crunch now, but that pursuit really helps it out against Pokemon that do not like to be pursued.
These Tauros coming
this
in here.
Base or or all Paldeer? Is it all Paldeer? Okay, so I'm assuming. Well, in that case, Sheer Force Rock Climb. That's bad, but still.
Tauros also has Intimidate. It can be a very good defensive tool, which this team could use some more of. It can pivot into offense. While its attack stat isn't particularly high, it does get a lot of coverage and can definitely come out of nowhere if you're not ready for it.
Imagine Gen 1. Imagine if this was Gen 1 Tauros on the team. But yeah, that Intimidate helps out a lot of Pokemon on this team. Like Gastrodon is a more special defensive Pokemon. Sarina likes taking up as many hits as it can. Tauros, just in general as well, has a lot of good points. That Raging Bull attack that breaks screens are very good for the teams that we know will have screen support.
Yeah, while definitely not mandatory, having the ability to break screens like that is very helpful, especially when there are things like Alolan Ninetales running around.
Yeah. Basculegion.
Basculegion, a very strong Mon, very hard hitting. I believe Last Respects are banned.
Last Respect is banned, but Swift Swim and potentially Screamtail being as fast as it is, setting up the rain for it, with that ability, doubling the power of its stab attacks, makes it absurdly powerful with Wave Crash. It does not have. I don't think it has Poltergeist. But even if it's, even if it does a Poltergeist, Stab Water is really all you need.
Yeah, it hits very hard, it is very fast, and I have gotten confirmation it is just normal Tauros, not any of the Paldea forms.
And even then, it's like Phantom Force is not an absurdly bad move. There's not a whole lot of normal types that really want to eat it up. Though obviously this is probably gonna be like banned or something because it is Basculegion Male, which is the top one.
I believe this is actually both Basculegion.
Oh, it's both.
Forms.
Well, in that case, then you can run Swift Swim.
No Poltergeist.
Oh, if it's both forms, then in that case you can use the female version, which has Hydro Pump and Shadow Ball for good Ghost Stab.
The Florges coming out. One of the strongest special defense walls in the game. It is a Wish Passer, and it is one of the few fairies still remaining in the draft.
Yeah, and this is a very looking to be a quite bulky team. Where Florges and Tinglu are very solid defensive Pokemon or special defensive Pokemon.
Yeah.
Iron Bundle and Rotomo can be very physically defensive sometimes. Obviously, Iron Bundle is not a defensive staple, but it can take a hit.
Yeah. Also, being able to send wishes into a Tinglu can be very disgusting if your opponent does not have a clean out.
It really is. You do know that Tinglu is mostly balanced by the fact that it doesn't have a reliable recovery move. The only, ironically enough, the only Ruin Legendary that has recover is Chen Pao for some reason. It joined the war on Stall on the side of Stall.
The day that I see Stalled Chen Pao, I think is the day that Pokemon needs to stop.
I think it's the day the world ends.
I don't know if we can survive that.
It'll be Ragnarok. Cleavor, Physical Sweepor, is a very interesting Pokemon because the Slurpuffs you're serving here have both Cleavor and Scizor. Cleavor can set up that Stealth Rock with that Stone Axe attack, and it has the same attack stat as Koraidon, which is very scary.
Yeah. The ability to set up Stealth Rocks while attacking to not lose momentum is very powerful, though you do have to contend with the Stone Axe misses, as it is a rock move, so it is legally obligated to not have 100% accuracy.
Yeah. But even if you do miss it, your base 85 speed, probably done with a Choice Scarf. You're not hopeless if you miss it at the first time. Nothing to do. I like how Scizor's like this and Cleavor's like this. I just find that fun.
The Alolan Muck coming here. Very good defensive Mon, a grounded poison, which this team was lacking.
Once again, this another very defensive pick for the choice cuts. This team is this team is volatile, to say the least. You have your defensive juggernauts like Rotom Wash and Gliscor. You have some other defensive mons that aren't as juggernautish, but they're still solid, like Talonflame and Alolan Muck. And you have offensive threats of Azelf, Terra Frostmoth, and Zarude. Alolan Muck's offer to the team is knockoff support, getting rid of all those hazards that are going to give, or not getting rid of hazards, getting rid of all those boots that are going to give this team's hazards trouble to deal damage for Frostmoth to sweep.
And not to mention the ability to remove damaging items can very much hamper the ability of the wall breakers to get through this very powerful defensive core.
And there's also the poison touch ability that this thing has, where if it hits you with a knockoff, there's a chance that those boots go away, and that poison comes to stay.
The Toxicity coming out, a very interesting mon. One of the few users of Boom Burst. That ability of it giving it an even further boost.
One thing to know, is, did you know that the Punk Rock ability also has the damage from sound-based moves?
Yes, I did in fact watch that video.
It's so weird. I'm all for it. Like, I'm all for that. But it's like such a weird thing because Toxicity as a Pokemon is not defensive. You do not expect this thing to take a hit, but then it eats a Boom Burst and you go, "What just happened?"
It's anti-Noivern tech.
It is anti-Noivern tech. I cannot wait to see Noivern. Like, I see Garchomp. I'm happy. Now I want to see the Terra normal Noivern.
All right, I'm going to be switching out with Old Year Turn.
Hello, I am back, and I am very excited to see that Toxicity switch into a Sylveon. Haxorus, this Pokemon has a special place in my heart for the tech. You can run with it because it does have first impression, and you can hit Terra Bug. This one cannot, which is very upsetting to me.
One thing to note is that Haxorus has two very powerful abilities. One very good one, one potentially good one. And that's Mold Breaker to hit Earthquake on all those levitating Rotoms. Another option is potentially...
Did you know a max attack Adamant Haxorus with a Rivalry and a Life Orb can one-shot a max HP, max defense Jumpluff with first impression?
Great to know. Who in the world is running Jumpluff?
It would have worked, is all I'm saying.
These are situations that will only ever come up in draft.
True. That is true.
If we see the Jumpluff draft,
you never know when Jumpluff's going to pull up with Acrobatics and Strength Sap and Substitute and Leech Seed. You never know.
Exactly. And if you have that first impression to one-shot it, that, as long as it's the opposite gender, the same gender as you, you cannot be Strength Sapped, and you're great.
On to what Haxorus actually does. It
Yes,
Dragon
Mold
Dances,
Breaker.
it Swords Dances, it has Scale Shot for that. That Mold Breaker Earthquake is going to pick off a lot of levitating Pokemon very powerfully. And if you want to be a troll for one of the teams that are running the Genies, you can run that Rivalry ability in order to hit them exceedingly hard.
That is true. That is true. I forgot about the Genies that exist. That would have made a lot more sense for me to run that tech then, huh? Either way, I think first impression's a great move on it. Anyway.
I'm sure it can one-shot. I'm sure Terra Ice Haxorus with the Rivalry can one-shot Lando T after Intimidate.
Oh, that would be insane.
But also doesn't need Rivalry to do that.
Yeah, but sadly, this is not Terra. You cannot do the funny shenanigans, but this team still has some incredibly, not to be understated, incredibly scary Terras, and this does complete that Dragon
All
Fairy
these teams
core.
have very scary shenanigans going on, including Clawitzer.
Clawitzer, premier NU meta threat. Big fan of Clawitzer. It gets Flip Turn. It's insane with a Choice Scarf or with Choice Specs. Choice Specs Mega Launcher, get that 1.5 times boost on top of that 1.5 times boost on your Water Pulse, on your Dark Pulse, on your Aura Sphere, on your Dragon Pulse. There is also, this mon has Ice Beam, it has Thunderbolt, I believe. It's got Weather
I
Ball.
think it's Thunderbolt. I think it's Thunderbolt. I get Charge Beam.
No, it doesn't get Thunderbolt.
Might
That's
get Charge
upsetting.
Beam.
No,
Gets
no
none.
electric type moves. I'm just wrong.
Okay,
Never mind.
Good though.
Good. That 120 special attack is crazy, especially with that Mega Launcher ability. This Pokemon can hit very hard, but not very fast. But it does complete possibly Fire, Water, Grass core. It has pretty okay defenses. It's just a solid Pokemon all around.
Once again, Shed Tail.
Exactly. Once again, Shed Tail. You give that. I don't think it has too much in the way of boosting itself, but I don't think it needs it, to be quite honest.
Sometimes choice items are enough.
Honestly, you put that thing behind a substitute, give it a Life Orb, the coverage will keep it there.
Yeah, it will. It'll pick up at least 2 kills. My friend's dog.
Houndstone.
Wait, oh no! Oh no!
Oh no.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace to Fido. Rest in peace to Fido. But he died to bring us the incredible sand rush threat that is Houndstone. If we see this team run weather, I mean, to be fair, this team can work in any weather now. You give it sun, you give it rain, that roaring moon is going to be an incredible threat. Hail, maybe not so much, but if you give it sand, my friend's dog, may he rest in peace,
Honestly, they just need a setter.
will run right up to you, hit you with a poltergeist so hard, you will regret having hit it with the car.
Here's the thing. It doesn't even need sand rush. It can run fluffy.
It can run fluffy and become an incredibly powerful defensive
It can run
beast.
fluffy, which makes it very defensive, but it does have that weakness to fire if it does run that.
It will add
As
that
well
fire
as being
weakness.
more likely to make you not want to leave your bed.
That is true. Imagine cuddling up with a Houndstone with Fluffy.
I think because it doesn't kill you. It's
No, it's a friendly
the
dog.
pre-evolution kills you.
Oh, never. Ooh, well, gotta watch out then.
No, but it's Houndstone. Houndstone is like the most loyal Pokemon in Paldea.
That is what you like to hear.
So, after Greavard evolves, I now have a big dog.
Big dogs always win.
Is a big friend.
We see Terra Avalugg. Now that I would love nothing more than to see Terra fighting, Iron Defense, and then you hit the nastiest body press known to man.
Avalugg as a Pokemon brings me such disappointment because defensive ice types as a concept do not work.
They could,
However,
though.
because of terrestrialization, Avalugg can leave its defensive typing, can leave the ice type behind it while still maintaining that ice type stab, which is
Indeed.
very powerful for such a slow Pokemon, and those avalanches hurt.
Indeed. And it has good recovery against physical threats. That special defense is paper thin, but against a physical threat, you hit recover, you hit iron defense, you hit body press, and they are out of there.
Well, here's the thing.
Additionally, it's a good rapid spinner.
It is. But here's the thing. That HP stat can cushion some special hits.
Oh, true. That is true.
And you can invest, like, again, it has rapid spin. It doesn't need defog for
Mhm.
hazard control. So what it can do is it can invest in special defense, run that assault vest. It loses out on recover, but I think it'd be a worthy price to pay for, something like, it's a draft. You can counter something very specific with it.
That is true. And we move on to Obama Snow,
Oh,
taking the
no.
last ice setter. There are only 2 Pokemon in the game with Snow Warning, and that is Alolan Ninetales and Abomasnow. And Abomasnow, with the ability to Terra itself, is frightening.
Alolan Ninetales is obviously the better of the two, but this Abomasnow can terrestrialize alongside setting that Aurora Veil for Baxcalibur.
That is true.
Baxcalibur may not be able to Terra, but that means it can't leave its ice typing.
Mm-hmm.
And that ice typing defense buff alongside the Aurora Veil, alongside Scale Shot, alongside Swords Dance, alongside Ice Shard or Icicle Spear. This is what got Baxcalibur banned, and it's not even the Pokemon that did it.
Exactly. Abomasnow is an incredibly threatening mon. It gets access to both physical and special attack. It can go Giga Train. It can go Wood Hammer. It's got Earth Power.
Yeah.
In fact, a Terra Ground Abomasnow hitting Earth Power can be very big against some strong fire types that try to come in against its lead.
Abomasnow as a Pokemon is not winning in a war, but it's not about what it does, but it's about the support it brings.
That's
And this
true.
team is thoroughly helped by a lot of good support.
Mm.
My dog.
We see my dog too.
This is actually Fido.
This is actually Fido. He's here. He's with us. He's safe. He's sound. And he is going to be running around at the speed of sound, hitting close combats, hitting stone edges, hitting Excel Rock for one of the only 100% accuracy moves in the game.
Rock moves.
Rock moves, that's true. One of the only 100% accuracy rock moves in the game, but it also brings that priority that can help you close out and get a good revenge kill against a strong enemy threat.
One thing to know is that this is midday Lycanroc and not midnight or dusk. Because it is midday, it loses out on some attack, but it does have that Sand Rush ability, which I doubt is going to be brought here. But in case something happens,
That is true.
one thing I think to note is that it does have Keen Eye, so those rock moves can't be lowered in accuracy any further.
Which is, can be very nice.
It can be nice, but it's just the whole rock thing. It doesn't. If it had splintered storm shards, that'd be
Mhm.
kind of fun.
Additionally, if you're really, really cooking up something fierce, you can run its hidden ability Steadfast and bring it against a team you think is going to lead a fake out Pokemon.
Yes, you can do
You
that.
raise that speed, just increase the threat it brings.
Can do that, and that's actually a pretty effective strategy, I would
Mhm.
say, because this nothing really likes to eat a fake out aside from a ghost type.
Exactly. It also gets Facade. That's insane.
What? Okay, what is that? What is that?
You know, sometimes you just love Weezer. Sometimes you're just a big fan of 4 guys on a blue background, and that's all you need, and that's all you get.
So, onto what Galarian Weezing does is it has that neutralizing gas ability. However, it has that,
It simplifies the game, just like a simple picture of 4 men on a blue background.
or it makes the game harder because it also has Misty Surge, which supports Hawlucha even further.
That is true.
Hawlucha won't be able to get status in the Misty terrain, as well as if you're playing both Rillaboom and and Doug Dimmadome over here, you won't know what seed the Hawlucha is holding. If it's holding the Grassy seed, it's going to get a defense buff. If it's holding a Misty seed, it's going to get a special defense buff. You don't know.
Mhm.
You really don't know. That
And
makes
this really allows you to customize that Hawlucha to deal with threats with that unburdened speed, and additionally, you can try to spec it to live specifically physical or special threats. It brings a very unique place on this team, and it's a very good defensive wall as well.
yeah, Poison Fairy as a typing is very interesting defensively with a lot of unique resistances, as well as the pure support of being that poison, of being that grounded poison type helps a lot.
But it doesn't have to be grounded. You can choose, if you're going up against a team with a lot of ground type
True.
threats, you can choose to make this thing levitate. I'm just saying, if you see a Galarian Weezing come in and you don't see that Misty Surge and you don't see that
Well, you know what it
neutralizing
is.
gas, you know what it is. But what's the Tinglu gonna do about it?
Exactly. Whirlwind, that's what.
You bring up an excellent point.
I love Weezer.
The final of the Lake Trio, true NU staple now that it's dropped. The defensive wall of all defensive walls, 95 speed with those defensive stats, 130 in both defenses and a 75 HP is crazy. This Pokemon can handle so many hits, offer secondary light screen and reflect. It can set up any weather you want. It can throw out thunder waves like it's handing out gift cards or cars. I don't remember if it has Will-O-Wisp, but if it does,
It doesn't. It has a Thunder Wave, though.
just Thunder Wave. Thunder Wave is all you need.
I would
really.
trust Yuxi to sell me a car. I would trust Yuxi as a car
I
salesman.
don't know. He looks like he's tired about his job. He looks
that-
he doesn't want to be there.
That's the implication of someone who would do their job honestly.
You know what? You're right. Tired
And
from that grind set.
Yuxi does what it says on the chain. It's bulky. It's a bulky psychic type.
Mhm.
It has knockoff. It has stealth rock.
It has Memento, an amazing suicide lead hallmark.
yes. Along with that
Trick Room.
along with that quick speed stat, U-turn yawn is a really annoying move.
You know who loves Trick Room?
Doubles players.
You're exactly correct. You know who else loves Trick Room? Pokemon that cannot be hit priority. Like Serena.
True. So I guess once Serena goes down, what else do you have? You have a bunch of fast Pokemon, so it's like, now what do I do?
We still have room in those last 2 picks. Give it some time.
Fair
Come
enough,
on.
fair enough, fair enough.
Come on.
Magneton.
Magneton.
Oh, I love this pick.
You
I
know-
love this pick.
Now you're gonna hate me, but you know what tier this Pokemon's great in?
And you.
Yes.
I watch Rabia.
Now you see, Magneton is a premier Violet Pokemon. We got a little bit of a night zone going on for the Magneton. It started a little bit of a rave perhaps. You know, Iono loves it in that town, Levincia town, all
Levincia.
about turning on and off the lights.
I despise Levincia with her five of my being. Solely because it crashes my game all the time.
That's unfortunate for you. But this Pokemon, give it a Violet, give it max HP, max special attack, and analytic, and it will hit you with the hardest slow volt switches you have seen in your life.
One thing to note is that it has that magnet pull ability, being able to trap steel types. It can Terra into a fire type, trap a steel type, and those poison types get to run for free.
That is true. With that Monkey Dory, and that leaves the zone completely free for Monkey Dory and
Skuntank and Glamora.
Skuntank and Glamora. I forgot Skuntank was even there. To just
It's above it.
completely. I was looking at Glamora. I'm sorry. Completely take the game by storm. Additionally, that Steel type is very good for protecting your Pokemon that don't want to get hit by Poison type moves.
Yes, it is. And along with it being able to come in on potentially something that has Toxic Spikes, Volt Switch out into one of the Poison types that can absorb the T-Spikes, or potentially switch into that Clefable with Magic Guard, make it poison it on purpose, making it immune to Thunder Wave, which is huge.
Exactly. It also gets Magnet Rise, so if you want to use it, you know, a little cheekily against a ground type that you know is a little slower.
It does. This team struggles against ground types heavily. Three of the Pokemon are not like ground type moves. All of them honestly don't like ground moves. So Magneton, if it can get the jump somehow on a ground type through the switch, then that Magnet Rise can help. And that special attack, not bad. Like that's a good special attack stat.
I'm telling you, you give it Analytic, max HP, max special attack, it hits hard.
It does. Give it that Eviolite, you know what to do. Yes.
And we come to Hisuian Typhlosion. We were talking about slow Volt switches. Now, if you want to go fast and you want to hit hard, you get that Choice Scarf Eruption gameplay. This Pokemon switches in on a normal type threat, a fake out user, a fighting type with low special defenses like a Conkeldurr, and you just hit that Choice Scarf, you hit that Eruption, and they're just gone. It clears them out.
It does. It's
peaceful
simple.
even.
If you want to be complicated about it, you can Will-O-Wisp, Infernal Parade. I think it has Earth Power or Focus Blast, one of the two.
It does have Earth Power, I know, because normal Typhlosion gets it.
Yeah. But it has that Fire Ghost typing as a spin blocker, which helps a lot.
Oh, it doesn't get Earth Power, it gets
So it gets Focus
Earthquake.
Blast.
You can use it as a mixed attacker for Earthquake. It does get Focus Blast, though. But I mean, who trusts 70% accuracy? It's called Focus Miss for a reason.
Yeah, we do call it we do call it Focus Miss for those who don't know Pokemon.
It gets Quick Attack. That's funny. I don't know. That's just fun, though.
Next time Quick Attack is used as Choice Scarf or Choice Band Sylveon.
Who doesn't love Quick Attack on random Pokemon?
Yeah,
it's just fun.
My friend trolled me in a monotype battle with Quick Attack Greninja. I'm like, dude, I despise you for my being. Why'd you do this to me? I'm embarrassed.
There's nothing wrong with a stab normal type Quick Attack on a Greninja.
It wasn't even Protean. This was an in-game X and Y playthrough. We battled after every gym.
That is upsetting to say the least.
Anyway, Hisuian Typhlosion is very powerful. Anyway, oh man. I'm gonna sub out to Hypocrite over here, and he's gonna talk.
Oh, never mind. Sorry. That is our bad. We thought a switch was coming. We were wrong. You can stay. You seemed really sad to leave Lilligant, though. Would you like to explain more?
I love Lilligant. Unova is my poem. I love Unova. Lilligant is such a fun Pokemon. You give it Sleep Powder, Quiver Dance, or Sleep Powder or Substitute or something. Quiver Dance is, a necessity. That Terrasolation can Terra Blast into Electric, Fairy, Water, Grass, really anything it needs, not Grass. But one thing it has is that own tempo ability, preventing its confusion.
You can run Petal Blizzard.
Pedal Dance.
Petal Dance, you're right.
That 3-turn move, which, yes, is a 3-turn move. You probably want to run Giga Drain. Otherwise, you get switched in by a Steel type free, and then whatever. But if you know something doesn't have a lot of switches to Lilligant, you can dent the switch in, have a QD up, and from there you Pedal Dance with no drawback at all.
That is completely correct. We could also see a Chlorophyll Sunny Day coming from the Crocalor. That's Sunny Day boosting the speed, doubling the speed of the Lilligant, and then if that Lilligant gets off a few Quiver Dances, Terra Fire, Terra Blast can close out the game.
Dude, I love Lilligant. This is an amazing Pokemon. I just love it. It's so fun.
It is a great Pokemon. It has a crown for a reason.
It does. The queen of the forest.
That would be Serena, but we can't.
The queen of Pinwheel Forest.
There we go. And here we have my favorite starter. Samurott was great. It was a good Pokemon. Just didn't have the heat and the tech you needed. Hisuian Samurott with that sharpness boost really sells it. We got double water starters on this team for good reason. They have classy taste. Hisuian Samurott with the Terra is amazing. Not with the Terra.
I was going to say, Terra Ghost useless edge is heat.
A little bit disappointing, but it's fine. I'll move on.
Once again, another amazing suicide lead.
That is true. We see a lot of good hazard stacking here because Torkoal itself can bring stealth rocks. It has the pressure to rapid spin and eruption to keep it in the game. And we see Hisuian Samurott who can just click Ceaseless Edge after Ceaseless Edge to hit those incredibly powerful sharpness boosted, stab dark, 70 base power boosted hits. And those hits will lay spikes on every hit, allowing you to just spam the move without regard for anything else. Very simple plan. I'm a big fan.
Also, Hisuian Zoroark is just Samurott is
Mhm.
one of the best like glow ups of a Pokemon,
It really
or
is.
ever of a character design in Pokemon since like Archie.
That is, you're just correct. I mean, before the plates that it had on its sides were just kind of boring, just sitting there not doing much.
Don't
The
you dare
red,
insult base Samurott like that.
I'm a massive, never assume that I'm not a massive fan of base Samurai.
Okay, good.
My
As long as we're on the same
favorite
page
ever.
here.
I'm just saying, the red racing stripes really do something. They do not increase the speed though.
Mwah, beautiful. No, they do.
They do, really?
Base Samurott 70 speed.
Huh.
This is 85.
An excellent Scarfer. You know what? Red racing. I should have never doubted the red racing stripes.
I am
Always increase
again
speed.
another Unova connoisseur here. I know my stats.
I don't know my stats. I just know I love them. He's just right.
All right, I'm gonna be actually subbing out to Hypocrite now, and he will tell you about all the next picks.
It's a good time. We were arguing about Samurott. I don't know. Samurott is the best. What is your favorite starter?
Also Samurott.
Let's go. This is the best cast ever. We have
A Terracetitan.
oh,
Very interesting. Slush Rush can pair very well with Nilo and Ninetales. It has Belly Drum and Cantera to help survive that hit to get off that Belly Drum turn. Then it can become very powerful. It gets priority with Ice Shard. It's moving very fast under Snow. And it gets the physical defense boost from Snow, which helps a lot.
that is big. Wow. You are so correct. So Titan is amazing on this, especially with that Terra. That is an incredibly powerful threat. That 170 base HP behind those Aurora Veil is insane.
Now, I have a question. What tier is this Pokemon in?
Scyther, oh, you'll never guess. It's NU, my favorite tier. So Titan is banned from NU because Snow is too good in NU. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But Scyther makes a great Pokemon. It can get rid of its quad weakness to rocks with heavy duty boots, and it offers the defog capabilities. And that 110 attack, you hit a Swords Dance, you got Technician boosted dual wing beats coming for days, you got U-turn for that pivoting, and in addition to all of that, if you're really crazy with it, you run Trailblaze and you don't even need to Scarf.
Very true. Scyther is definitely a mon that's a little slept on, but 110 base attack with Technician isn't nothing to sneeze at.
I wish I could use it well. Here we have another mascot pick. You'll love to see a mascot pick. Braviary coming in with that normal flying type. A Pokemon that is surprisingly not an early root bird, but with that 100 HP, 123 attack, and those pretty, mediocre, but, nothing to snore with defenses, you see why. It's just very good all around.
A mon that I would assume has defog.
I would hope. I can't check right now, but I would hope. I know it gets bulk up and you hit real hard. You got Sheer Force Life Orb. What else do you need, really? We get another
Iron Thorns.
Paradox Mon. Iron Thorns getting picked. What are your thoughts on Iron Thorns?
It likes to run loaded dice, which is always fun. Get that Rock Blast and the Pin Missile.
Pin Missile loaded dice is great. It's a very fun combo. It gets rid of a lot of grass types. Yeah, Pin Missile. Yeah, Pin Missile loaded dice. You get Pin Missile Rock Blast, Pin Missile loaded dice. That stab combo is pretty good. You see it on Cleavor. Gets rid of a lot of threats. And with that 134 attack, it does damage. And when you Dragon Dance to increase that speed, you're going places and you are going fast.
Iron Thorns is also a mon that I think a lot of people won't have a lot of experience with, so will have trouble counter playing with.
And I think it's also very good. It works really well with the Regenerator core they have going to kind of mitigate that weakness to ground types. Because you got Slowbro as an easy switch in. You switch in, you hit a Surf to scare it off. You switch out, you gain back the health you lost.
And even we have an immune mon as well with Tornadoes.
Oh yeah, That's going to come in big and switching in the switch-in game that is going to be trying to use Iron Thorns. And next we see another Pokemon that doesn't really appreciate ground types. Bellybolt.
Bellybolt is such a lovely little guy. He also hits you quite hard if he can get off his Electromorphosis ability, but living 2 hits can sometimes be a little bit of a challenge.
It can, but I think if you gave him, you know, Assault Vest, he could be a pretty respectable member of the team.
Bellybolt is also another mon that really would appreciate the grassy terrain set up from Arboliva.
Oh, yes, that'll keep him in the game for much longer, allow him to hit a lot more Electromorphosis boosted hits. Where are Bellybolt's eyes?
The massive eyes on the side.
Really? Because I know it has fake eyes. I'm pretty sure the ones in the front are real. It's the small ones.
Huh.
Yeah. That's really weird to think about, and it actually makes me like the Pokemon less. It's a lot creepier looking now.
Yeah, now that I'm looking at that second face, it looks a lot creepier, and that is going to be the last face that many opponent Pokemon will see before they faint.
Definitely. We have the final Tornadus. Tornadus Incarnate. This is looking like a scary rain team.
Yeah. The ability to set up rain like that.
With priority with Prankster.
And that also will boost its moves like Hurricane and Bleakwind Storm to 100% accuracy.
And with that 125 special attack and those 110 base power moves, they will be hitting unbelievably hard.
Yeah, Zapdos really enjoys getting that Hurricane and Thunder accuracy as well. Palafin.
That Jet Punch damage boost will break the game for Palafin. Clean open.
Very, very strong one. Terra Dragonite.
You know, I'm a man of simple strats. You know this about me. I love hitting a Terra and then just hitting a powerful priority move. And no one does it better than Dragonite after a Dragon Dance. You hit Dragon Dance, you get that attack boost, you get that speed boost, you Terra normal, +2 priority extreme speed, you just kill everything. It's just simple and easy.
Yeah, Terra Dragonite is definitely a really big threat. Also helps that ghost types on the enemy team will very much fear the offensive mons of Urshifu, Single Strike, and Gengar.
Definitely. And with its ability multi-scale, it's going to be in the game probably for a Swords Dance or 2. And then you hit those extreme speeds. It's just simple.
Pretty sure Dragonite doesn't get Swords Dance.
I know, but I wish it did. It would be nice. They just give it Dragon Dance. That's fine, I guess, but it doesn't need it. It has extreme speed, you know?
Yeah, that's why they didn't give it Swords Dance.
I know. It would be too good. But I can dream. I can dream. Now, Jolteon's being suspect tested in NU. It's going to get banned soon, and I'm very excited about it. Especially with the ability to Terra, it kind of breaks it. That high speed, high special attack, the ability to hit Terra Ice or Terra Water and hit the Terra Blast can get rid of any ground type you're worried about. And then you can sweep the game with Stab Thunderbolts to just get through. And its ability to Volt Absorb makes it an exceptionally powerful teammate if you want to switch out a Water type or a Flying type into it.
Powerful Bolt Beam coverage.
Indeed, powerful Bolt Beam coverage.
And the ability to set up Calm Minds and Substitute is something that you are intimately familiar with as an NU player.
I am very, very familiar with it. It's very difficult to deal with. And that's what makes it so good. And now we have another Shed Tail user. We have Cyclozar, a normal dragon type, you know, one of the only ones in the game. But with that 121 speed, you can hit Draco Meteor, you can do whatever you want. With Regenerator and Shed Tail, you're getting out, you're getting your health back, and you're doing it again. Any Pokemon on this team can set up and sweep.
And Cyclozar is a fantastic support Pokemon. It has Rapid Spin. I believe it has other status moves as well. It can get in there. It can help remove things, set up the pathway for other Pokemon, and then Shed Tail into them to give them a boost.
Most definitely.
Especially Pokemon that enjoy taking a turn to set up or enjoy getting powerful attacks like Lucario, Quaquaval, and Iron Bundle will really appreciate the Shed Tail.
Every single one of those will appreciate it. Especially, you can see that Lycanroc would like it as well.
Very true.
Nasty Plot Rotom Mow. Possibilities are endless. Another Pokemon that has nearly endless possibilities. With Stamina, you got Mudsdale. Mudsdale takes a hit, gets that defense boost. Very strong ability.
Yeah. Mudsdale is definitely a Pokemon that if you sleep on it, it can come back and bite you in the butt because it does get body press. So every time it gets hit, that body press will get stronger.
Indeed. And with that 100 HP, that 100 defense is very powerful. The other thing is it doesn't need body press to do damage. With that 125 attack, its earthquakes will be earth shattering.
Very true.
And we're looking at a draft staple Heatran. With Fire Steel and Flash Fire, this Pokemon is difficult to deal with.
We have finally located the reason why this team is so anti-ground type, and that is because of Heatran.
Most definitely. If you want to keep a Heatran large and in charge, you get rid of as many ground types and fighting types as you can. And with that 130 special attack, it also has, and that 77 speed, it also has the option for Choice Scarf Eruption to deal massive damage.
No longer has Eruption, unfortunately.
They took. How did they?
It's a transfer move from an event.
How did they take Eruption from Heatran? That's like, it's like taking candy from a child.
Yeah, Eruption was an event move, and with Pokemon Home nixing transfer moves, it no longer has Eruption, which is very, very sad. We cannot run the classic Scarf Eruption Heatran. But I'm sure many Magma Storms will hit in the place of the Eruptions that are no longer here.
My heart is broken. And now we see another weather setter being picked. We have Ninetales with the Sun. Will really bring this team together.
Walking Wake is a mon that very much appreciates the sun. Get that photosynthesis off. Get the boost from Hydro Steam, because for those who don't know, Walking Wake's signature move, Hydro Steam, is a water type move that instead of being nerfed in power by the sun, is actually boosted in power by the sun.
And additionally, this Pokemon can be good to get rid of the only weather this team doesn't like, snow.
Very true. And with multiple snow teams running around, I think that this Ninetales will be a very good pick.
Indeed. I'll be switching out with my co-caster Proco, and I'll be back in a bit.
Thank you for that. This next pick is another very interesting pick in Fortress. The Bug and Steel type Bagworm Pokemon is known for its thoroughly high defensive capabilities, alongside with setting up the spikes and the toxic spikes for its team. Another set of great hazard stacking on the side of the Feather Dancers because of support with Meowscarada and Clodsire.
It's also a secondary hazard removal, taking some of the pressure off of that Oricorio, which allows it for more sweeping potential.
It does, and Fortress is no slouch when it comes to offensive potential too, because it has that body press, and with that massive defense stat, it will take a hit, or it'll do some damage.
As well as we have a Clodsire, which is a very natural switch into a lot of those special fire moves that Fortress does not want to take.
Yeah, I think that they're friends. Clodsire is just a lot of aw. I love Clodsire.
Clodsire is very, very huggable.
Speaking of huggable Pokemon,
Mabostiff.
we all played the game. This thing makes us cry.
Yeah, Mabostiff is a Pokemon with a set of very powerful abilities and not a lot else, but I'm sure that they can do something to make it work.
Is this thing NU? Okay. Mabostiff, what it has an Intimidate ability, which allows it to, switch into a lot of physical attacks. It has that Guard Dog ability, which is a very interesting ability in that if it gets intimidated, instead of getting an attack drop, it gets an attack boost. But it also has that Stakeout ability, where if something switches out against it, it'll do insane amounts of damage. Choice Band, Choice Scarf, really whatever you want with it. Stab Crunch is going to hurt from Mabostiff if you decide to switch out, and if you're threatened by it, you're in a 50-50 where do you take the hit of just dropping a Crunch on the Pokemon that you were in with, or do you drop the Crunch on the Pokemon you switch out to? So it's a lose-lose.
Yeah. Also, fun fact: the Guard Dog ability prevents it from being phased out from moves like Whirlwind and such.
Yes.
Which can be very good against certain mons like Tinglu that really like to use it as a deterrent for getting set up on. Knackley.
Okay, I understand Garganashi. I understand Lil Nachi. I don't understand Lil Nachi, so please explain to me.
So he's not good. Terra Knuckle Stack is one of the best value picks in my opinion. This is not Terra Knuckle Stack. This is a Knackley. This is here to be amazing and a little guy and to not come to a single game. Because he is a 1-pointer and there was 1 point remaining on the team. If I
It doesn't
had to
get
guess.
Salt Cure. It probably doesn't get Recover. No, okay, it gets Recover. But no, only the true Evolve forms get Salt Cure. Holy cow, Stealth Rock on a team that has plenty of Stealth Rock.
Yeah. Knackley, we love it.
It's a little notchy.
We love
It has Rain Dance. Alert, it has Rain Dance.
It has Rain Dance and Sunny Day.
It
So, you
does.
know, maybe in a world where Ninetales gets sick or something, then Knackley can come in.
Okay, hear me out. Choice Band, Purifying Salt, Rock Throw. Sturdy. Oh! Okay, Sturdy is a focus sash, or as a fake suit. Okay, I kind of see that. I can kind of see that.
Yeah, you can do that. You can also just run a good Pokemon.
Don't run. No, we're not using Fear, Knackley. We're not using Fear. No Custap Berry Explosion.
Anyway, here's the Passimian.
Okay, here's
to
a good
focus on
Pokemon.
anything else.
Here's a good NU Pokemon. Passimian is a pure fighting type. Good speed, good attack. This is just a generally good Pokemon on this no ground team, where it has a high attack stat. It has that speed. It has that decent speed stat that can be further bolstered by that Choice Scarf item, alongside the ability to Defiant, which allows it to counter something like Intimidate or Sticky Web, which is an issue for most teams.
As well as the fact that it does have U-turn, so it can help switch in to some more powerful threats that can have trouble switching in, like that Talonflame or the Heatran.
Yeah, it also has a lot of unique coverage. It has has a close combat, has that U-turn, also has that Rock Slide, which is good in most fighting types. Doesn't get Stone Edge generally enough. I don't think it does. It has access to, I think, Gunk Shot. So it does a lot of interesting moves in order to deal with things that could potentially cause the other team issues.
We have Driftblim, which is a personal favorite of mine, certainly.
Wait, why is this in the Knackley spot? This is the same team as the Knackley.
Okay. We have some slight technical difficulties.
Oh, wait, never mind.
Okay, here we
Okay,
go.
so this team is okay. This is interesting a lot because this team kind of does not have a lot of hazard control. They have hazard stacking in the form of I think Mudsdale gets spikes. Mudsdale gets spikes. And Cleavor's Stone Axe, but they don't have control. Drifblim has that control of
Defog.
the Defog move. It has those abilities in Unburden, where if it loses item, it can get that speed boost. One interesting thing I would like to see a lot is the Flare Boost ability, boosting that special attack stat by 50% if it's burned. I would like to see it. I don't know if we will, but that'd be amazing.
It's also very important to mention that Driftblim has a very good defensive profile.
Yes.
With the heavy duty boots, it can lose its rock weakness. It gets knockoff. It gets strength sap. It gets a bunch of status moves as well as hex. It has a very nice defensive profile and can pair very well with this team that did not have a ground immunity up till now.
Yes. Ghost Flying as well as the typing is very good defensively, so that helps defensive profile as well. Fuck.
Here we have Muck, which is important as a grounded poison type on this team that lacked it, especially because this is a team that does not appreciate Toxic Spice between Tinglu, Florges, and Cyclozar, and Appleton as well. A very nice defensive mon that can round out the team, gets knocked off, gets toxic spikes.
With that poison touch ability as well, it is able to spread that poison potentially, which is potentially crippling to the opponent. If they're running heavy duty boots, they have that immunity to toxic spikes, yes. But if they don't have, you don't have a poison immunity unless you're running a poison type, a steel type, or that Lumberry item. So Muck is able to pull off things with poison jab or knockoff or maybe even shadow sneak. Ooh.
The Terra Carbine
I like
to round
this.
out the team. Very defensive Mon. I believe gets some hazards. I believe it also gets screens.
It does get screens, which is interesting.
Gets body press to help with its damage output as well.
Carbine is an interesting Pokemon because that typing Rock Fairy is littered with weaknesses, but it's also littered with some unique resistances. Yeah, it's quad weak to steel, which is not something you want to be. But you also, have that benefit of that fairy typing, which, this team has plenty of, obviously. But you have access to, have that Terra fighting in body press. You have screens. You have sturdy for an ability if you just need to be a suicide lead. And this team doesn't really have a whole lot of hazards.
Yeah.
So getting up, Stealth Rock or Spikes, it helps a lot.
While there is a bit of an opportunity cost on this team for using Terra Carbine because we have 2 fantastic Terramons already, being able to terrestrialize out of that 4 times weakness into possibly a resistance can be very nice for staying alive for some crucial turns.
I will say one thing, that opportunity cost is massive because you have a Terra Blood Moon Ursaluna in the back. If you aren't terrestrializing that thing, you better have a really good reason as to why.
And I think the main good reason on this team is Terra Jolteon for
Yes,
that Bolt
Bolt
Beam
Beam.
coverage.
Armor Rouge, I love this thing, Mega Man. So Armor Rouge here is a very interesting Pokemon. It can run that weak armor ability to get if it gets hit by a physical attack. It can boost that speed. It can run Flash Fire to get hit by a fire move, which this team doesn't really appreciate. To that fire immunity, boosts its fire move, and it gets absurdly strong from there. Only it had Mega Launcher.
It also gets access to Calm Mind and Weak Armor, which could allow it to very quickly spiral out of control.
Or pair it up with a weakness policy, and you have a powerful store power set on your hands.
Very true.
It's Armor Rouge is a very versatile Pokemon, as you can see. Along with a pretty versatile move pool as well. With obviously you have that stab armor cannon, which is a very powerful move. Psychic as well, or Psyshock if you need that to hit physical defense.
It also helps round out a nice Fire, Water, Grass core as well as a Psychic Fighting Dark core with Urshifu.
Yes.
Houndoom.
I like this pick. Another Flash Fire Pokemon that is very unique to say the least. You're not as powerful as Chi-Yu, but you still have some powerful offensive options like Chi-Yu. You have that Stab Dark Pulse, you have that Stab Fire Blast or Overheat.
Yeah, the real weakness of Houndoom is that it really needs a turn to set up Nasty Plot to do that big damage, but if you can get it off, then you are really sitting pretty and doing some very difficult to resist damage.
I think the name of the game of this team specifically is Chip. You want to get that chip with the poison off of one of the 3 poison types. You want to get that Volt Switch chip or that Flip Term chip with something like Palafin or what's it called?
Zapdos.
Zapdos. I don't have a blanket on me. Then you want to sweep with something in the back that hits decently hard. Obviously, Palafin's one of the sweeper. Buggy Door is a sweeper. Houndoom, Scarf Houndoom is pretty quick. You can use that as a late game cleaner just to set up, just to hit hard.
Also, Houndoom has gotten access to Trailblaze, which can help with its ability as a leader.
Yeah, and Houndoom, not like no one really thinks about it, but its physical attack isn't terrible. Base 90 is not amazing, but it's not bad.
Here we have Base Wheezing.
True.
Very nice defensive option. It gets Will-O-Wisp. It is a levitating poison type, which, while it cannot remove Toxic Spikes, it cannot also be hit by Earthquake, which is very nice.
It can potentially remove Toxic Spikes if it has that neutralizing gas ability.
True. That is extended to normal Wheezing. It's a very good physical wall. It has Will-O-Wisp to help cripple those physical attackers that it can easily come in on. Just a very nice defensive tool to have.
Being able to spread poison again in draft is very dangerous because that poison adds up fast.
And it is yet another mon that, if it is not levitating, does appreciate the grassy terrain from Arboliva.
Hoopa
Wow.
Unbound, the
With the
Psychic Dark
Terra.
type and Terrastalizing as well. Off the bat, as you can see, these stats are gargantuan aside from the defense, but even then, you don't even need the defense some of the time. Hoopa Unbound is insanely powerful on both the physical and the special spectrum. You have, Stab Psychic, you have Stab Dark, and just a lot of good coverage. Hyperspace Fury is a very dangerous move.
Yeah. Yeah, it has a lot of powerful coverage options, a lot of good neutral options in knockoff that will be hurting a lot off of a 160 attack stat, as well as the ability to terrestrialize, set up with nasty plot, or you can run a very devastating choice scarf set.
It has the ability. It has that It has that nasty. Yeah, it does have, as it does have that nasty plot. You have your psychic moves. You have if you want to be fun about it, you can run screens. You could run band. This thing can use a lot of separate things. It has a drain punch, I believe, right?
Yeah.
So you could run, something like I don't know, maybe like a life orb set.
Yeah, yeah, Hoop Unbound is definitely a piece of offense that this team was sorely missing.
One thing to note is that when does Iron Thorns come into play? Whatever.
Hisuian Sliggoo coming out here.
See, now this is a good NFE.
Hisuian Sliggoo, it has a lot of the similar problems with Hisuian Gudra, although with an Assault Vest, it can still take a lot of hits very well. Oh yeah, and the Eviolite as well.
Yeah. It has that Sapser ability too to sponge some grass type hits, which this obviously this team doesn't hate grass types, but you're one of your best options for this Hisuian Samurott is a grass or electric type. Hisuian Sliggoo here eats up both. Doesn't want to deal with fighting moves, but it can take one hit probably. Oh, wow. Yes, I love Palma.
Palma is here. Revival Blessing is legal,
Yeah.
which is very interesting.
Lepaberry Revival Blessing is dangerous on this team specifically because you have that at level 9 tails. If you pair that with the wish support from Umbreon, you have a lot of very dangerous teams. You have that Revival Blessing into a little 9 tails. If it drops, you can give something a second round. You can give 9 tails a second round of Aurora Veil.
You can also give Titan a second round with very powerful Slush Rush attacks.
If you somehow manage to Revival Blessing the Titan and then wish it back up, you have another Belly Drum up. This team is very scary. Play with that Hisuian Zoroark and Golden Go core. It's such a dangerous team.
Yeah.
And Palmon isn't that bad offensively either. That's it's good speed. It has a solid attack. This thing hurts.
Yeah, the biggest struggle for Palmont will be the opponent likely will have prepared for it coming and may have some options.
It does just want a massive hug though. Oh. Read him now? Okay. So we have with the teams finished up, we have the pairings for the week 1. First week is Lily TMS versus Patty SUB.
Next up we have Ryan SC versus Jake AH.
Then we have Jacob, who's WB, and versus Brian, who is CC.
We have Richard GG versus Brian with a Y WH.
A lot of Brians and Jacobs. We have Alex FD versus Rose WMD.
And we also have Alec Alec PQL versus Jeffrey VIV.
And those are the matchups for week 1. Very stacked lineup. As you can see, with some very powerful teams. Okay. So who do you think is in it? Who do you think is who do you think is a team that's gonna be really good?
I really like this team that's sitting in front of us right here. This is a very powerful team. I really like that Tokyo Millennium Valley as well.
Yeah.
Very strong.
I like I like that let me see these. Sphere City. Sphere City is looking very dangerous. With that this defensive core. It's so powerful. You have so many good defensive mons. You have good offensive mons, and you have Alolan Persian.
Yeah, there are definitely a lot of really interesting teams, and a lot of teams that it's hard to see the full potential without watching them in games. This first week is going to be very telling as to the real potential of a lot of these teams.
Yeah. You want some input on the teams? Okay. Want to wrap up?
All right, everyone, thank you very much for coming out to week 0 of the Pokemon Club Esports Draft. I hope you all are very excited for these teams and their matchups. We will be here again the same time next week. And in the meantime, if you want to catch another stream from us, we will be doing League of Legends on Tuesday.
At 7 p.m.
Oh, at 7 p.m.